Welcome back to day 2 of the Fixed Ops Roundtable Dare to Dream event. The spark of the ballroom calls you. Let's make an impact together and unmask cancer. Now, here is our regal host, Delaine.
Good morning and welcome to day 2 of the Fixed Ops Roundtable Dare to Dream event. I'm your co-host, Delaine from Hinson Brand Dealerships. The masquerade is about to begin and we have so many glamorous guests ready to join us on the ballroom floor. We're excited to dance alongside the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society to unmask childhood blood cancer once and for all. So may we have this dance? The night awaits us here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable Dare to Dream event. The masquerade awaits. Make your move on the ballroom floor by using the chat feature on the right side of your screen. Just make sure to select everyone and not just host and panelist. To kick off our day, we have the honor of welcoming back Jude Anderson, his mom, Barb, and even their puppy, Scrappy, on behalf of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Today, we have some incredible guests with us that have been on the roundtable before. Welcome, Barb and Jude Anderson.
Thank you. We're glad to be here. Thank you, Kara.
I love the masks.
Yes.
What is your mask, Jude?
It's Spider-Man goggles.
Way cooler than any mask I've seen.
Yes.
So for everybody watching us today that might have missed the interview that we did previous to this, will y'all give us a rundown of why we have you on this particular Fixed Ops Roundtable and kind of tell some of Jude's story?
You bet. Well, first off, we're here to say thank you to everyone involved with this for your just outstanding support of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Jude would not be here today if it weren't for the research that the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society has funded over the years. And so what you're doing is literally saving lives like Jude's. Jude was diagnosed with leukemia when he was 18 months old. He went through the first couple rounds of treatment, and then he relapsed when he was in the maintenance phase, which is kind of the long-term treatment phase. But to relapse while you're still on treatment is very, very bad. And his odds of survival went from about 85 to 90% down to about a 50-50. He had a bone marrow transplant when he was 3 years old. And we thought, okay, now we've got this. He's on the road to recovery. And he relapsed only 75 days after that first bone marrow transplant. And if this story had happened about 10 to 15 years before, there would have been nothing that we could have done or doctors could have done except to take him home and make him comfortable. But thanks to the research that LLS has done, Jude was able to do a clinical trial for a new type of treatment called CAR T-cell therapy, where they literally took cells from Jude's own body, harvested them, trained them to fight cancer, and put them back in his body. It's like something out of a sci-fi show. And he was able to get back into remission and get stronger from his transplant. He was still very sick at that time. And except because the treatment is so new, he relapsed again after that. But thankfully, Jude was able to go and get a second bone marrow transplant with a doctor who received LLS funding for a new type of bone marrow transplant. And that was November 15th, 2016. And so Jude just recently celebrated his 6th rebirth day, which is when he got you would say a second, but really since it was his second bone marrow transplant, it was his 3rd chance at life. And he's been cancer-free ever since then.
Wow. And Jude, we talked about a year ago or so, and what's been going on in your life since we last talked?
Well, first of all, one big major change is last time we were in Arizona, and now we are in Minnesota because we moved. So
you moved from Arizona to Minnesota.
Yes.
Do you like Minnesota?
Yes. It's gonna get a lot colder, as I just said.
Have you seen snow before?
Yes. No. Yes.
Well,
no.
We saw snow already this year.
Yes.
I have a feeling that you're going to see a lot more snow now that you live in Minnesota.
Yes, we will.
And I feel like we're missing somebody in the mix right now, because last time we talked, I believe it was Scrappy made an appearance, right?
Yes.
Where our fingers are crossed that Scrappy, as excited as she is about speaking to you, that she keeps her voice down on this call. One thing Scrappy loves about Minnesota is the squirrels.
Oh, wow. Chasing all the squirrels.
Yes, so she might have something to say during the call.
How funny. Well, so since we last spoke, what have you guys seen through LLS that has improved since the last time that we've talked? Because I've been learning over the last few months more and more about the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and I'm sure it has evolved so much since he was first diagnosed. And what do you think is going on with LLS right now and hopefully in the future to come?
Yes, LLS, since we last talked, has launched something very, very exciting. It's called the Dare to Dream Initiative, and it specifically targets childhood cancer. And so a lot of the things that worked in Jude's case, the access to clinical trials, the being able to travel to different places, the information sharing across hospitals, all those issues impacted Jude's case. And that is exactly what LLS is addressing right now. And they're coming through in a big way to help kids like Jude so that more kids have a chance to survive like how Jude did.
And Jude, if you could help out any other kid, maybe your age, maybe younger than you, what type of advice would you give them if they were going through something like you went through?
I would say just I don't know. Just So be ready for what's next, and just always be on your feet and just be prepared. And
What are some of the things that you enjoyed the
Um,
most, though? What would you tell them? What did you play with, like at the hospital, maybe? Like any video games, maybe?
Maybe do something to take your mind off, like maybe some pain or something, like stuff like video games or something, and just
Or Legos?
or Legos or something. And also, if you're getting your blood drawn, one thing is, do not look at it and just listen to something, and just think of what you're listening to very hard, and just do not look at the needle at all, and that will really help.
Wow, that's some good advice. I don't like looking at the needle when I get an IV or my blood drawn either.
And that's one thing that Jude, he mentioned having to get blood draws, and he still does. And that's one thing, going back to kind of what you said about the Dare to Dream initiative, that even for cancers like acute lymphoblastic leukemia, that's has cure rates of 90%, a lot of the kids who are cured still have long-term health problems and need to be monitored and go to lots of doctors. And that's something that Jude faces. So that's how this initiative impacts kids, even those who survive. It will help make the side effects a lot worse.
Wow. Wow. And what do you think that we could do as a fixed ops community, as the automotive industry? What do you think that we could do as a whole, as one big organization, to help kids like Jude?
I'd say you're doing it. Your group has just come through in such a big way. And honestly, it's the funding in that childhood cancers. The funding is a lot lower than most adult cancers. And so just to bring awareness and to bring fundraising for it is just so important.
Wow. Well, that's what we plan to do.
And what do you think, Jude? You were going to say something.
I would just say the same. Keep supporting LLS, and you would be doing the right thing. So just keep supporting.
That's what we're here to do today and every day moving forward. We're gonna blow up this LLS Dare to Dream project and hopefully be able to impact families like yours.
Thank you. And then also too is they also do resources for patient support. So that was another thing that when you asked what you can do, for example, this is wild, but one of the times that Jude started a new treatment, that same day our refrigerator broke.
Oh man.
It just like out of nowhere, it was totally fine. And then it was like, sweetie, have you noticed the fridge is warm? Oh. And then at that same time, we were trying to get Jude to treatment, and we were able to get a grant from LLS that helped us at that time, just because money with all the hospital bills and everything was tight. And it was just like exactly what we needed to get that patient support funds.
Wow. I can only imagine, but I'm so impressed that we've come this far and that LLS now has so many different ways of helping families like yours. So that's incredible.
Exactly. It's both. Yeah. As you said, they've come so far, and it's not just on the personal level, like helping provide money for a new fridge, but also helping to provide the funding for research for this amazing new CAR T-cell therapy that's just so promising for so many different types of cancers now, not just leukemia and lymphoma.
Yeah. Wow. All right, Jude. So we're going into the holidays here, and Halloween was a few weeks ago. What were you for Halloween?
Well, I was a hazmat suit and then a zombie underneath it. So
2 costumes in one?
Basically, yes.
I love that. And it's almost Thanksgiving, so happy early Thanksgiving to you guys. But going into Christmas, I'm sure you wish for a lot of things, Jude. What are you hoping to get from Santa this year?
I I don't know. Maybe you could tell Karen, our friends, what month you started your Christmas list.
Basically, not right now, but October, like October 27th or something.
I think it may have been August or September, Fred. I feel like it was like school was starting and the Christmas list was busted out at that time.
Oh my God.
Maybe so Kara asked you what you want. Are there a couple things on there that
Maybe just cards, maybe.
What kind of cards?
I have 3 types. My Hero Academia cards, Magic cards, and Pokemon cards.
Wow.
So
you're hoping to get all 3 of those?
yes, or at least 1 deck of them.
You think you're going to be on Santa's good list?
Maybe.
Maybe. And Jude, I think I remember you telling me last time, but I'm going to ask you again to see if it's the same now.
Right.
Who would you consider your absolute hero?
My mom.
It's still your mom. Why is she your hero?
Yes.
Why is she your hero?
She really is. I mean, she basically donated her blood to save me.
Aw.
And
That's what mamas are for.
Yeah.
And
Jude
we
is
have-
my hero for for going through everything he did.
Scrappy, stop! We're trying to make a moment. Oh no! Help! Save me!
Scrappy is upset because Scrappy's not the hero here. Mom is.
Yeah. Well, Jude, and that's why we have the dog to hear those laughs like that.
Yes.
Laughter is the best medicine. Everybody enjoys laughing, and I am sure that everybody is going to love your laugh just as much as I did today.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you for having us here, and thank you for what you're doing.
We are so excited that you guys came back, and hopefully we get to do another interview with you guys in the future. But I always love hearing Jude's story and seeing how far you guys have come. And it seems to me that Jude's fun laughing through life.
He's doing wonderful.
Yes.
Yes.
And also seeing our dog being annoying.
Thank you guys so much. And thank you everybody watching for supporting to the Dare to Dream project with the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Ready to sweep cancer off its feet? Make sure to scan the QR code on the screen or go to fixedopscares.org and donate to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society now. Up next, we have Eliana Raggio here to empower us to lift others up with the power of allyship.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. It is a great honor that we have with us today as keynote speaker Eliana Raggio from Digital Airstrike and Women in Automotive. She took the Fixed Ops Roundtable Roaring Twenties event by storm with her discussion on allyship. It is a great privilege to have her as our keynote speaker. Eliana, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here, Ted, and thank you so much for having me. And I am thrilled that we have an audience today to talk about allyship. So if it's okay, I'll get started.
Great. And we're here to learn, because I learned a lot from you in September, and a lot of the differences about allyship that I did not know. So with that, my friend, take it away.
Thank you so much, Ted. And thank you so much for being here, everyone. So we are going to be talking about allyship, but I thought it was important to also first distinguish allyship from mentorship. There is a difference. They're not the same. But you know what? For those of you who are serious about finding true success in your career, I mean, you really should look into both. They both bring something wonderfully different, and both have the potential to make a huge impact for you. So first, we're just going to spend a few minutes on mentorship. So what is mentorship? Mentorship is a relationship in which a more knowledgeable or experienced person, a mentor, guides and nurtures the professional development or growth of another, a mentee. And this could be outside of the normal manager-subordinate arrangement. So mentors offer direct one-on-one advice. They offer guidance and coaching. And, you know, they could be a great sounding board for mentees. They can help you make career decisions. They can work through a challenge with you. They could be a great role model for you to emulate. So mentoring is as much about counseling as it is transferring knowledge and leadership skills. And the most effective mentors can clarify a mentee's goals, assess the path the mentee is on, and then guide that person onto the right track. Now, I found this great study by my good friends over at Harvard. I love Harvard. So Harvard Business Journal surveyed CEOs who have formal mentoring arrangements, and the results, they're very telling. 71% of the CEOs that were surveyed said they were certain that their company performance had improved as a result of mentoring. And 69% reported that they were making better decisions. And more than anything else, I need you to hear this, 84% of those CEOs that were surveyed credited their mentors with helping them avoid costly mistakes and becoming more proficient in their roles faster. Now, there are many places you can get involved in a mentorship program. Certainly, you can check out the robust mentorship program that we have at Women in Automotive for a start. But I just want you to know there's lots of upside to having a mentor. Additionally, there are great benefits to being a mentor as well. So, Ted, I don't know if you know this or not, but I recently had the pleasure of emceeing a mentorship panel and a speed mentoring session at the recent Women in Automotive event in Las Vegas. And we asked each of the mentors, why would they want to do that? I mean, what were they getting out of being a mentor? And honestly, I was blown away by the answers. I mean, they talked about paying it forward and giving back, and how they loved watching others succeed, and also how mentoring others was part of their legacy, and how they were, in a lot of ways, more proud of the success of their mentees than any of their own personal successes. And honestly, it was just so wonderful to hear, and also so wonderful for the mentees that were in the room to hear as well. So if you're thinking about being a mentor, I mean, take it from others who've already done it. It is extremely rewarding. And if you're convinced that you should find a mentor for yourself, well, here's a few things to keep in mind. Number one, your mentor's time is valuable, so treat it that way. So avoid meeting just to catch up or asking questions that you could probably find the answers to yourself. Instead, come prepared with thoughtful questions and be ready to discuss real challenges that you're currently facing. Do more listening than talking. And don't forget that once you've taken all that input in, report back to them on your progress. So when you meet with your mentor, some things that you can talk about with your mentor might be like the similarities and differences between your current roles, your strengths and weaknesses. You could talk about the challenges that you face in your day-to-day, the goals for your career, obviously. And then, also you could talk about the skills that you want to develop and maybe what's holding you back from obtaining those skills. Another thing that you should know about when you have a mentor is you should view open and honest feedback as a gift. Solicit feedback whenever you can by asking specific questions like, how can I improve? And what am I not doing that I should be doing? And, the more you ask for and accept your mentor's feedback, the faster you'll learn, the faster you'll grow, and the faster you'll advance in your career. And the third thing I would say is, it would be very wise of you to build trust with your mentor, because over time, mentors can develop into sponsors or allies who use their status in cloud, and they might create opportunities for you and make connections for you. And before your mentor will be that sponsor or that ally for you, they need to trust you, and that you're reliable and that you are a bet worth making. So always follow through on what you say that you're going to do, and always do your very best work. And when you're consistent over time, you're going to build that valuable trust with your mentor, and you're going to earn their allyship so that they'll advocate for you and provide an even further investment in your success. So now I want you to know that there are key differences between mentorship and sponsorship, and they both focus on fast tracking a person's career growth. But mentors are while valuable, they play a different role than a sponsor or an ally. We're going to get into that. But mentors provide coaching and guidance, but they aren't necessarily in a position of influence that can help a person get ahead at work. By contrast, allies and sponsors, they are strong, consistent advocates for others that have positions of power and influence and can directly provide job opportunities or lobby on another's behalf. A mentor is a person who gives a protege advice, answers questions, strategizes career moves and professional development. But an ally or a sponsor is someone who promotes a protege to other people to help advance the protege's career. An easier way to remember the difference is this: mentors talk to you. Allies and sponsors talk about you to powerful people when you aren't in the room. So now it's time to talk about allyship. And in doing even more research on the topic, I learned, very happily, of course, that the word allyship was actually named the 2021 Word of the Year by dictionary.com. You can see it there on the screen right now. See the little orange thing? And if you go to dictionary.com and you click on that orange band, it'll actually take you to a whole nother page on why they chose allyship as their word of the year. I want to let you know, I found out it marks the first time ever that a brand new word was chosen as the word of the year by dictionary.com. So if you've never heard of it or used it before, guess what? You're probably not alone. All right. So what is allyship, as you can see on the screen?
And that's me, Eliana.
That's
I had not been aware of that word until Eliana Raggio came along and talked to the Fixed Ops Roundtable just in September. So I learned a whole lot, and I'm taking great notes right now.
Thank you, sir. All right. So the definition is on the screen. I'm not going to read it to you. You can obviously see it for yourself. But, it's descriptive of an alliance to fight societal injustice in order to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. But, you could also look at it as simply a state or condition of being an ally, an advocate, a benefactor, and holding a supportive association with another person to see them benefit from your actions. So allyship, and we'll discuss sponsorship too in a bit, because they all kind of go together. They're both different from mentorship, because what we're talking about is a relationship between two people where one of them has some kind of authority, political capital, personal influence, or something like that they can use to help another one in their career development or to obtain a career advancement. So a sponsor or an ally is an individual who can open up opportunities for you. I mean, they're not only more experienced than you, but they can actually lift you to a higher level in the company or in your career. And it can include talking to you about job opportunities or nominating you for boards or projects or advocating for your advancement to senior leaders or decision makers. Now, I quickly told the story on my last appearance on Fixed Ops Roundtable, as you'll remember, Ted, but it bears repeating because it's an absolutely perfect example of allyship. And the story was about Williamina Fleming. She was a single mom who worked as a maid in the house of Harvard professor Edward Charles Pickering. And in 1881, Pickering became frustrated with his male assistants at the Harvard College Observatory, and according to legend, famously declared that his maid could do a better job. Now, Wilhelmina, she had no formal training of any kind. And in fact, Harvard had no female students at the time. No colleges did. Harvard was actually going to be the first college to admit women, but it wasn't until 40 years later in 1920. But in 1881, Professor Pickering saw something special in her, and he hired Fleming anyway. And during her career, she helped develop a common designation system for stars that's still used today. She personally cataloged thousands of stars and other astronomical wonders, and she had several career achievements that advanced astronomy, not the least of which was her discovery of the Horsehead Nebula in 1888. But I want you to take a second and just imagine, if you could, what the thought process was for him to select her for that opportunity. I mean, it went against all social conventions. It was unheard of. Can you imagine what it was like for Wilhelmina too? I mean, it's shocking to everyone that she was even in the building, let alone that she held a position of such high caliber. And honestly, I'm waiting for Hollywood to make it into a movie. I mean, come on, Hollywood, pick up the pace. This is a great story. I'm seeing Emily Blunt and Anthony Hopkins in this. I'm ready to see this play out on the big screen. You let us know, audience, who you think should play these two in a movie, because I think this is a great story. And quite honestly, I just think it's amazing that she went from being a maid to becoming an astronomer at Harvard Observatory. So I'm going to ask you, could she have done that without Professor Pickering speaking up for her and advocating for her and giving her the opportunity that she didn't even know was available to her? Heck no. And that's why it's a perfect example of allyship. And speaking of allyship, I myself would not be here today giving this keynote on allyship had I not had an ally of my own. Because dear Ted Ings didn't know who the heck I was until Lisette Gold from Google sung my praises as a presenter and included me on that panel on the last Fixed Ops Roundtable. And I'll be honest, I've emceed, I've presented, I've moderated more times than I can count, but I have never in my career done a keynote presentation. And this is a first for me in my career. And it's because of Lisette, and I'm so thankful for my ally. Hi, Lisette. And thank you to Ted Ings for giving me this opportunity as well. Because you know what? Everyone needs an ally. And if you're really lucky, you have more than one, maybe several. Wouldn't that be awesome? Ted, wouldn't that be awesome?
Big time.
Now, even in the year 2022, whether we want to admit it or not, gender, race, ethnicity, religion, disability, sexual orientation, one of these, some of these, all of these, they are among the many factors that can affect our success. It's a hard truth. But, and I want all of you to really hear me right now, we have the power within each of us to be allies for those who face discrimination. Allyship in your organization can level the playing field and provide opportunities and advancement to those who might otherwise be overlooked. Because at the end of the day, it's simply not enough to recruit people from diverse backgrounds. You have to also have a focus on setting them up for success in their careers and roles, just like Edward did for Wilhelmina. You can get rid of that slide, by the way, now. Allyship is important in closing the gender inequality gap. It's important to remove racial bias and unlocking hidden talent right within your own organization. It'll help you improve retention, and it'll even boost a company's productivity. And all of that, in turn, is going to improve profit and company culture, and it's also going to be an employer's attractiveness to other potential hires. It is literally a win-win. So the question is, how can you be an ally in the workplace? You know what? There's a number of things you can do. First, familiarize yourself about gender and racial bias. Learn more about people from different backgrounds. Be a staunch supporter of equal opportunity employment and fair career growth. Understand the complex issues that minorities and marginalized or politicized groups face. Honor each other's achievements while also advocating for others' ideas and opinions. And when you can, expose sexist, racist, inappropriate, and wholly unprofessional remarks or practices. Allyship is proof that an individual has the ability to do what organizational policies may miss, advocating for the underappreciated and making processes fairer and more equitable. It's up to each of us to speak up, extend opportunities, and challenge the status quo. You in? I know I am. Being a strong ally or sponsor will ensure those who might otherwise slip through the organizational cracks are supported, guided, and elevated into roles that challenge them to grow and reach their full potential. And this is where sponsorship comes in, because a sponsor is someone in the workplace who'll advocate for you and has a vested interest in seeing your career grow. So just how important are sponsors in the workplace? Well, as it turns out, those who have a sponsor are paid an average 11.6% more than those who do not, according to new research from PayScale Inc. And, it's probably not surprising, but for men, it's a 12.3% bump in pay compared to women at 10.2%. But still, that's a sizable difference from an employee with no sponsor at all. I know I'd like to be paid 11% more just because I have a sponsor. So the next question is, how do you find yourself a sponsor in your organization? And for that, I'm going to refer to an incredible TED Talk by this amazing woman. She's a business executive at Morgan Stanley, Carla Harris. And she talks about why people not only need a sponsor, they also need a mentor. But the sponsor is important because the sponsor is going to be the person who's going to speak on your behalf in the top level, closed door meetings that you are not invited to. That person can't be a mentor because a mentor's job, remember, is to give you advice tailored specifically to you and to your career aspirations. Instead, you need a person that's carrying your interest. Whereas Carla liked to say, carrying your paper into the room. A person who is spending their valuable political and social capital on you. A person who's going to pound the table on your behalf and get it done behind closed doors. That is a sponsor. And she goes on to talk about performance currency and relationship currency. And performance currency is how well you do at your job. And most businesses are meritocracies. And this is when you put your head down, you work hard, you put up great numbers, and people will notice you and you'll move up the corporate ladder. Performance currency is valuable because it raises your level of visibility in the environment and may get you noticed by a possible sponsor. But just putting your head down and working hard and hoping you'll get noticed, it's just not enough sometimes. And that's why you also need relationship currency, the currency that is generated by the investments that you make in the people in your environment so that they use their hard-earned political influential currency on your behalf. And, they have to know you and your capabilities, and they also have to have a seat at that decision-making table. And you're going to need both performance and relationship currencies to gain a sponsor because, let's be honest, no one is going to go to bat for you unless they have connected with you and engaged with you and know that you're a competent and capable, high-potential employee who shows initiative, hard work, and determination to succeed. So, winning a sponsor is not always easy, but there are steps that you can take that will help. First, make sure your contributions are noticed. Be vocal about your ideas and your contributions. And if you can, try to be the one who presents them to senior executives. Next, network and form a good working relationship by solving problems for your team and helping others and putting yourself in for projects, especially with people you haven't collaborated with before. If you're ready to take on a new project on your own, hey, go for it. But if you don't feel ready, then shadow or support someone else who has been assigned a similar project. And then put your hand up for the next opportunity. Another way to get noticed by a potential sponsor is by simply asking, what more can I do to help? And you know what? You may hear nothing in response to that question the first 10 times that you ask it. But you know what? That 11th time, you may be asked to help on a research project, which might give you a new opportunity to demonstrate your value. And then from that point, you might be the go-to person on special projects. And then you'll definitely be noticed as a noteworthy employee. And this might lead to taking on a bigger role or maybe even expanded role that senior colleagues now trust your opinions. Listen, finding yourself a sponsor is a lucrative endeavor and one of the most critical things that you can do to advance your career. But you also have to know how to be a good protege. So let's cover that next. First, have conversations that are as much about how you can help drive the business as it is about your own personal aspirations. Realize that the responsibility of your success is your own. So hold yourself accountable for everything that happens or doesn't happen. And at the same time, be fully appreciative of whatever help your sponsor can provide. Because after all, the sponsor is someone who can provide visibility and speak up for you at the right time, but it's still up to you to earn that promotion. And next, focus on being visible and vocal and building a reputation as an ambitious, highly skilled part of the team. Make sure you have a substantial track record of performance that you can build on, because a sponsor is always assessing whether to put their reputation on the line and go to bat for you. So give them plenty of reasons to think that you're a go-getter rock star that deserves their attention and support. And once they're on your side and want to help, be very clear on what you want for yourself. Now, conversely, if you're ready to get more involved in advocating for coworkers to see them reach higher levels of success, let's review ways that you could be a good sponsor. First, become a vocal fan and a collaborative champion. Get to know your colleagues' strengths and weaknesses. Help them develop as leaders and challenge and encourage them. And then tout their abilities and achievements whenever new projects or stretch assignments or promotions are discussed. Nominate people on the basis of their potential without expecting them to prove that they could do a job in advance. Introduce them to key players in your professional networks to open up an even broader set of opportunities for them, like Lisette Gold recently did for me. And be the kind of ally who notices talented people and nurtures their success. It doesn't even have to be overt. It could be very subtle. Like you might make a world of difference in the trajectory of a person's career by saying something very, very simple, like, make sure you're at this event, or make sure you speak up on this topic and say this, or make sure that you ask about such and such. Oh, you know what? I heard about a deal that's happening at so-and-so, and I'm going to make sure this person knows that you're interested. These are all things that they're very, very tiny on your part. It could make a big difference to them. And finally, I want to go back to that amazing TED Talk with Carla Harris I spoke of earlier, because she ended her talk by saying, and I'm quoting here, a word to the would-be sponsors that are in the room. If you've been invited into the room and you have a seat at the table, you have a responsibility to speak. If someone is worthy of your currency, spend it. One thing I've learned is that the way to grow your power is to give it away, and your voice is at the heart. Honestly, if you haven't seen the TED Talk, you really got to go and Google it. So, over the past 20 minutes or so, we've discussed mentorship, allyship, and sponsorship. And I hope that you've either made up your mind to find a mentor, ally, or sponsor for yourself, or that you might be a mentor, ally, or sponsor to others. Yes, it does take a special kind of person to use their voice like that. And most people have never thought of putting themselves out there like that, to mentor someone or advocate on their behalf. But doing so might change the course of someone's life for the better. And I want you to just take a second and just imagine if you were that person. Thank you for your time.
Eliana, what a great message, especially at this time of year. And I think the leaders here today, I'd like everyone to challenge themselves. What a great gift. Maybe the greatest gift that you could give is that gift of sponsorship, allyship. And we all have a responsibility as leaders in the retail automotive industry, whether it's through Women in Automotive, whether it's in Fixed Operations, Fixed Ops Roundtable, regardless where it is, we can all be that person. So, Eliana, I think this is going to go down as maybe better than that TED Talk. And I thank you today for inspiring us and getting us started. Everybody, what a great message from Eliana Raggio, Digital Airstrike. Eliana, Women in Automotive, and you're right. Lizette said, you've got to hear this message from Eliana, and she was so right.
Thank you so much, Ted. You honor me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, my fellow friend from New Jersey, I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving, and
to you as well.
And the best in all. And hope you come back and visit with us again here in the new year. And congratulations to you and all the success you're having.
Thank you, sir. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how much money we raise for the Leukemia Association. So thank you so much for doing that. And I love what you're doing here. I've been a big fan of yours for a long time. And you say the word and I will come back anytime you need me, Ted.
Right. Well, you know what? And that's another inspiration to our audience. The QR code is on the screen. You can donate now to the Dare to Dream Project at the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So thank you very much. Eliana, Raggio, here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, everyone.
In the early days when we formed DealerBuilt, there was a need for an alternative solution, one that combined both a comprehensive enterprise solution with just basic common sense.
Open integrations, no fees, dealer first. And you know why? Because they were built out of a dealership.
We are more tailored towards the dealers in that we don't require you to adapt to our way of doing business. We adapt more to your way of doing business.
The most recent acquisition of VistaDash was with a strong partnership. What it allows us to do is start working down the path of first-party data even more with tapping into DMS data. We provide that dialing in of providing outcomes and true conversions and seeing what actually is working.
We acquired VistaDash for several reasons. One was the people. That team and what they built over the last few years has just been amazing. We have a lot of high-level experienced people that understand what it's like to work inside a dealership. I think that's a huge difference between us and any of the other platforms or the other competitors on the market.
Part that I find the most fun is being able to truly put the dealers first. We just want to make sure that our dealer partners are successful, and that's what VistaDash and DealerBuilt are all about.
We spend and invest millions to put our product at the forefront of not driving your processes, but allowing you to drive how the DMS is going to work for you and your company. We are defining a new blueprint where the DMS is not just a system of record. It needs to extend to where your customers are transacting business.
At the end of the day, that's what separates us. Dealer choice, dealer built. That's what we think about. Period, end of story, and we don't deviate from that.
Here to share with us all about the 7 times rule and give us some insight on the perfect RO is Les Silver.
Well, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and with us is Les Silver, the Executive Chairman of Dynatron. Les, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Ted, thanks once again for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dynatron, Les, has become such a big part of the event, and so much happening in our industry this year, and so many dealers taking advantage of the solutions that Dynatron offers, which are far different and very exclusive to Dynatron. So congratulations on your success on continuing to make the industry more efficient and more profitable.
Well, thank you. We just recently crossed the 2,500 dealer count on our program, so we're very pleased with the adoption that we found in the market.
And that's no small feat, Les, because there are many organizations that we hear about. They just crossed the 500 or maybe the 750 dealers, but 2,500. That's quite amazing, those inroads that you continue to make in this industry. So again, it's adding to your legacy.
Well, thank you.
I've heard it said, in fact, you've told me before that we often have to hear a message more than once in order for it to resonate, in order for it to stick. So I know that's a part of your presentation today. So Les Silver, I'm going to let you go ahead and take it away.
Well, thanks. And the first reminder is to remember the 7 times rule. And for those of you that have forgotten it, it says that people don't truly understand a new concept until it's been explained 7 times. And that, as managers, gives us the courage to repeat things over and over again, because we can't really expect people to understand it until we've said it 7 times, and it provides us with the courage to go on. This presentation that I'm going to do today is the 2nd time that I've covered the concept of the perfect RO, which means that, yep, you have 5 more times to go. You're probably not looking forward to that. and I wouldn't take that much time from Ted. So I will say that if you want to get a link to this recording, it runs about 15 minutes or so. Ask Ted for the link, and then you can do the final 5 times yourselves in the luxury of your own home. So we're going to talk about the perfect RO, and before we get into it deeply, I want to define what I mean by the perfect RO. And it has 2 aspects. The first is the content of what goes onto the RO, and the second is the price that you're charging for it. So our objective is to sell everything that's appropriate for the customer and to sell it at the perfect price. So what does that really mean? Well, the perfect content are the things the customer should purchase based on a number of factors. The first is the year, make, model, mileage of the vehicle. And the second is the answer to something that we've called the magic question. The magic question is, what's your plan for this vehicle? And we should ask that question at every visit. We should record it on the RO, because the reality is that the content that you'd recommend to somebody, if you take 2 customers, identical year, make, model, mileage of vehicles, and one plans to turn it back as a lease end in another month, one plans to keep it for another 10 years, the content of what you'd sell is very different. But you need to understand that to be in a position to make appropriate recommendations on the things that are going to be of value to the customer long term. The perfect content also might be spread over multiple visits. And I talked a couple of sessions ago about hours per RO, and this is another example of something that doing the right thing can negatively impact hours per RO, but it is the best thing to do. So you might want to take the content of what might be on one RO and split it into several in order to cover budgetary issues and other reasons why the consumer, the customer, should have the work that's being performed spread over multiple visits. Be prepared for that. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. The perfect price is one that's not too high that it impacts on retention and not too low that it leaves profit on the table. That's a fine line. But if we sell the perfect content at the perfect price, then we have the perfect RO. So what do I mean by that? Perfect content. First of all, we want to record the things that the customer requests when they come in. They come for a reason. They might have symptoms that require diagnosis. They might have had an inspection done previously and know that it needs a particular item to repair a water pump, as an example. There might be time and mileage-based maintenance. There might be recalls. The customer comes for a reason. And the first step in creating the perfect RO is to listen and to document thoroughly the reason why the customer is there. The second step are the items that are identified during actually Ted's bread and butter, which is the walk and pop, doing a walk around the vehicle, popping the hood, and doing an on-the-drive inspection. You'll identify items that you need to add to the repair order based on performing that task. The third area are items that are identified through review of history and not already requested. You've got perhaps recalls. You've got currently or past due OEM scheduled maintenance. You've got dealer recommended enhanced maintenance. Things that were previously declined on previous visits. Or you might have had an inspection done that had yellow items, and those items are now potentially turning red if we take a look at them. So we need to look at the history and determine, are there things that are needed that the customer hasn't yet requested? And the final category of content for the perfect RO are items that are identified in the shop. When the customer says, my brakes are squeaky, and you do a diagnosis, there are items that may come out of that diagnosis. Or when you do your normal vehicle inspection, there might be items that are identified there. Remember these 4 categories, and remember that it's your job, your responsibility, to create a process that identifies the things that make up the content that are relevant to that customer considering the answer to his magic question. Perfect RO requires using the perfect price. And the perfect price also depends on a number of things. The first is the type of work that's being performed, and the second is the kind of customer. Different customers have different prices depending on their circumstance. When it comes to the type of work, there are three broad categories. The first is the real easy stuff. Lube oil filter plus tire rotation in the case of the works package. These are items that require the least amount of skill and are most competitive. The price for these are very highly visible in the marketplace, and typically consumers are aware of the price, and you have to be in the right ballpark. Maintenance. In the case of maintenance, generally you're quoting a menu price, something that's been prepackaged. And the market price for that menu item is often also highly visible. The work is still relatively low skill level, and you need to be competitive. Now, competitive doesn't mean cheapest when you consider the total value of what you're offering. And for maintenance items, you should be proud of your price. You should be proud enough to put it on a dare to compare board right in your service drive so consumers can see how you stack up to the competitors that they may perceive are less expensive, but really, in fact, often aren't. The final item is the repair items. And this is where you get to shine, because this requires typically the highest level of tools, technology, and skill among your technicians. Typically, a price for a job that's a repair job is assembled as needed. Your labor component, that's determined from a labor guide that you would use, hopefully, times a way of calculating the price that goes along with the number of hours that you look up in the labor guide. Sometimes that's grid pricing, sometimes that's a door rate. There are various techniques to be able to get to the appropriate labor component of the job. You then want to add in the parts component, and that's determined from typically, most dealers, the parts cost times some sort of a parts grid. And then to add to that, you want a job price by adding any other things that go along with it. Hazardous waste, shop supplies, taxes, etc. Put it all together into a price. The customer is interested in the price of the job. They really aren't that interested in all the component parts that go into it. So when we assemble the job, we need to be in a position to quote to the customer the total job price. Now, I mentioned that the type of customer is also a determining factor because you have your retail customers. So if you take the same job, that water pump, and you're selling it to a retail customer, you'll have a price that's associated with it. If the customer is a dealership employee, as an example, most dealers offer a discount. If the customer is a fleet, there may be fleet pricing associated with it. Your insurance companies offer extended warranties, and if this is covered by an extended warranty, there's a price associated with that. The OEM warranty, the OEM is a customer for a pretty good chunk of your work, and they set rules as to how the price needs to be established if you're an OEM warranty job. And finally, the dealership themselves are customers, and the used car department, your used vehicle department, is a customer for your internal work. What is the price that's set for them? So knowing the customer and knowing the job is what allows you to then come up with the appropriate price. The service advisors have significant ability to modify prices in numerous ways. And if they aren't complying with the pricing policy that you've set in your shop, the price that you expect isn't going to happen. There's going to be erosion. So pricing compliance is critical to achieving your target of having the perfect price. When it comes to warranty, I mentioned that's a category where the warranty, the OEM, is a major customer. Warranty labor is reimbursed by applying the labor times in the OEM warranty guide, and I'm going to actually talk a little bit about some changes there, and using the warranty approved labor rate. The dealership has the ability to apply for a warranty rate increase, typically every 12 months. There are a couple that are every 6 months, but by and large, it's every 12 months. If you aren't on top of that, if you're not applying in a timely manner, then you're not getting the perfect price, because the price you could have been charged hasn't been approved by the OEM, and you're going to lose potential gross profit, potential margin. The rules that govern the warranty labor rate calculation are often very complex. There are rules established by the state. There's rules that are established by the OEM. They vary state by state. Typically, you have a choice on which one you want to use, but you have to understand what the impact is going to be able to make that decision. You have to use data to determine what the optimum result is going to be. The warranty rate is determined by using the CP labor rate for similar jobs, because the OEM, based on state laws, is required to pay you what you would be paid if you were a CP customer. So the more you're able to get without going overboard on the CP side is the more that you'll be entitled to on the warranty labor side. Now we have a news flash here. There are 2 states, Illinois and Montana. Illinois law comes effective in January of this coming year, where the law now states that you will not only be reimbursed at a warranty rate equivalent to your CP rate, but you'll be reimbursed for the same amount of time as if it was a retail customer. And the law in Illinois, as example, says you can pick a retail guide for your time and use that for warranty, or you can use the warranty guide and multiply it by a factor of 50%. This is significant, and it's going to mean significant bottom line change in the 2 states that this is happening, and likely once it happens in a couple of states, the chances of it spreading over time to other states is very real. Warranty parts. The warranty parts are reimbursed by applying the parts markup to the cost price of the part. And the cost markup needs to be approved by the OEM. The dealership can apply for a warranty parts markup increase every 12 months. Typically, parts markup had been around 40%. That we see in many dealers now edging up 60, 80, 100, sometimes over 100% markup. If you're late applying for that again, you're going to be losing dollars by not having the most current warranty parts markup. The rules that govern warranty parts markup are also complex. So you need to be able to analyze carefully what you're getting for retail, and for equivalent parts on the warranty side, apply the appropriate markup. I'm going to close by saying how difficult it is to change. The first thing is understanding, and that's the first of 3 steps. And we talked about the 7 times rule. If it takes 7 times to understand the concept, you have to be prepared to take the time to understand, first of all. Then you have to do it. But doing it isn't enough. You have to take the attitude that doing it well is where you really need to go. You can't do it well if you're not doing it, but doing it without doing it well. Let me give you an example. I did an analysis one time of the NBA and determined that the free throw percentage was a factor that in many cases was the determining factor in who won the game. Now, if I have to explain to you the understanding of how to do a free throw, that's not a very difficult thing to understand. You stand behind the foul line, you throw it at the net, and hopefully it goes in. And the do it is very easy as well, because anybody can do that part. However, doing it well is much more difficult, particularly when the game is on the line and you're standing there by yourself at the free throw line trying to win the game. It's a whole different ball game to do it well. The things that apply to the perfect RO require practice, requires an attitude of I'm going to understand it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it well in order for it to be successful. So I hope the second time around of this concept was helpful. Please feel free. I love talking to people about this. If you want to chat about it more, you can reach me les.silver@dynatronsoftware.com, or call me on my cell phone. We'll be happy to have a conversation.
Les,
Thanks again.
you've helped our industry really in the understanding of pricing of something that we're already doing, parts and service. But you've helped us in not only doing it, but since we're doing it, we might as well do it well. And there's nobody better than what Dynatron offers in terms of the service and parts pricing. And you've really made a stamp on the industry with that. And with 2,500 dealers strong, if I'm a dealer, I'm a fixed ops director. It's the perfect time now, end of the year, end of November. If I want to find out more about what you can do for my dealership, they can reach out directly to you, I understand.
Yeah, please. You can reach out directly to me. We have a national staff of market presidents that are interacting day to day with the dealers. I can put you in touch with the person that's responsible for your area. We have national coverage in both the U.S., a little bit now in Mexico, and also into Canada.
Dynatron Software is on the move, everybody. It's growing. Please grow with it. Les, I want to wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving as well.
And same to you and your family, Ted. Thanks again.
Les Silver from Dynatron Software here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Opportunities for revenue growth are out there, and they're closer than you think. The problem is most service departments lack the time, software, and data to see these opportunities. They're in the dark. That's where we come in. We help shed light on revenue growth opportunities hidden within your data. Dynatron gives you the tools, coaching, and knowledge to maximize your service department revenue. From optimizing labor rates on maintenance and repairs to helping with manufacturer warranty labor rate and parts markup, our training and software gets you the most from your data. We illuminate these revenue opportunities with 3 fundamental solutions powered by our ROI suite and expert coaching. Price Smart. Our Price Smart solution drives additional revenue through price optimization. Charging the perfect price for services maximizes revenue while maintaining retention. Pricing compliance. Holding service advisors and technicians accountable to avoid costly mistakes that can lead to significant ELR and retention erosion. And parts and labor warranty filing. Price optimization and compliance prior to filing maximizes the process, which leads to larger revenue opportunities. Where other companies just file, we maximize and file. Sell Smart. Our Sell Smart solution is a customized, dealer-specific, technology-enabled sales training program for your service advisors and management team. It focuses on improving each advisor's revenue-generating potential with continuous improvement. Small but consistent changes add up to big results. Market Smart. With Dynatron's Market Smart solution, we analyze your service department data to develop custom, multi-channel marketing campaigns that target existing and new customers. We guide additional traffic to your service drive, resulting in tangible ROI. Powering these solutions is our ROI suite and expert coaching. We take your repair order data, process it through our proprietary algorithms, curate new data, and combine to find new insights. Then, our expert coaches guide you through our proven turnkey process to discover new opportunities and deliver results, ultimately seeing a 5x to 15x ROI each year you partner with Dynatron. Managing your service department is hard enough. You don't need another vendor. You need a long-term partner. Don't stay in the dark. Accelerate your service department revenue today. Visit DynatronSoftware.com.
We encourage you to dare to dream by scanning the QR code on the screen or going to fixedopscares.org to make a donation to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Our next speaker is all about people serving people. Please welcome Erica Mitchell from Dealerware.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Erica Mitchell is the sales director at Dealerware. Dealerware powers the future of fleets on a single platform. They are a great friend of the automotive community, great friend of the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Erica, I want to welcome you to the conference.
Thank you so much. Really an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
Honored to have you, and I'm excited about the message you're going to share with our audience today. Dealerware has been a part of the Fixed Ops Roundtable since one of the very earliest events, and I thank you greatly for your support, and excited to hear what you have to share. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, and Erica, the show is yours.
All right, great. Well, yeah, again, thanks so much for having me. The message is probably a little different than what most people here have seen in the past. Really, the focus is going to be kind of all around accessibility, but also technology, and talking a little bit about the service drive as well. As you know, Dealerware has been around for a little over 6 years now, and we serve the service department industry really for fleet management software, also for loaner cars and rental cars. You know, we are a technology company, but really we're people who serve people who serve people. And having said that, since my picture is so delightfully here in this slide, I'd like to tell a little story about myself. I actually have a vision condition. When I was 17 years old, I was diagnosed with a condition called Stargardt's macular degeneration. And essentially what that is it affects the center of my eyes. So I don't have any central vision. And so when you look at the diagram here on this next slide is this diagram kind of just shows really how rare this condition is. And what it does is over the course of 2 years, so until I was 19, I lost my vision very slowly until I was legally blind. So what that did was it left me with just my peripheral vision, which presented a lot of challenge, especially back when I was going through college. There wasn't a lot of technology available to me. So I really had to scrape through and find any kinds of tools and resources that could help guide me through the remainder of my college years and also, you know, into my early career. So having said that, you know, I have used a lot of different tools, especially today. So when we look at tools like the iPhone, Apple products just in general have been such an amazing tool for me to use. So when you look at the iPhone, this is just a screenshot of what on the left looks like my phone. I think it's on your left. And then on the right is just a regular iPhone without any changes in the accessibility settings. What this has allowed me to do has really let me be able to function normally day to day without having to use any additional tools other than the actual device. These types of settings are available on the device itself. They're native to it, which makes it really great. Another thing about Apple products, when I was living in the state of Washington, I actually had the opportunity to contract with the state to help people who were low vision or blind how to use their Apple products. It was really great because what it helped me do is understand that once someone has that opportunity to learn a technology, it really can change their life. And changing someone's life was such an impactful thing for me to help them do. And it just made them feel like a normal piece of society. And that's something that technology has really done for me as well. And not only is vision impairment something that really needs some assistance with technology, but there are so many other hidden disabilities or invisible disabilities, if you will, that are out there that you wouldn't look at a person and be able to identify. So I really have to, you know, tip my hat to all of the different technology companies out there that have created an opportunity for me to really be able to shine and be successful in my career. So it's been really lovely. But outside of just disabilities or accessibility, technology in general is something that is really important, especially, you know, when you look at a service department or the service drive, technology really has a major impact on that. So selecting the right technology for your business is so key in making sure that you really help your employees deliver the best service that they possibly can and also deliver the best customer experience that you can. So when you look at the service department, so this is definitely an eye chart. So when you look at this is just really all of the different types of technology companies that dealerships have to choose from. And this is really for the service departments. So if you can imagine being a fixed ops director or being a service manager and having to select from one of these different vendors that are calling on you and cold calling you every single day, and you're fending them off or trying to figure out what the best solution is for you, you can see here how much work that must be for them every single day. Even when you look at just the fleet management side of it, which is the side of the business that Dealerware manages, even that side of it alone, when you zoom in on it, is really overwhelming. So it makes a big difference when you have the opportunity to explore the technology and really make the right choice, because making that right choice is really what's going to serve your customers the best. So when you look at the service world, I can only imagine, just after seeing those last couple of slides, that the service managers, service department people in general, everyone that works in the service drive, are arguably the busiest people that you could probably ever imagine within a dealership. I'm not sure if you would agree with that, Ted, or not, but I would have to imagine so.
Oh, yeah, with a great responsibility, Erica, right, as well. And what a great message. And a big focus at this conference has been dealership culture. So I think you're spot on with everything that you're saying here. And I love this slide here. You do more than service, you serve a community. And that is so true, Erica.
Right. Yes. And, just like I said in a few slides back that, what we do, we're people who serve people who serve people. So the technology that has been selected at a dealership not only serves their employees, but it also serves that consumer on the end. So the person that is bringing in their car, they're picking up their car, making sure that experience when they bring their car in is as seamless and as easy as possible. It's frustrating if they have to wait in long lines, or if there's, some ways that they could, if they're cutting corners in certain ways. When you put the right technologies in place, it really helps expedite the process and really create that really awesome customer experience.
Wow, love it.
So one of the things that I found interesting, a friend of mine brought this to my attention, is I only have my peripheral vision, so I have kind of a different view on the way the world looks. So when you think about peripheral vision, this particular quote really stood out to me. When people look at a service department or they look at a dealership, they buy cars from a dealership. A service department, you take your car in to get it serviced. Well, that's really just at what's really at the center, at the core of that specific department within dealership. But when you look at that slide back with all of the different softwares and everything, that's the peripheral. That's where I think we really need to kind of focus our energy and our time on. And that's where, hopefully technology is really helping these dealerships in providing that great customer service, because it's really all the things that happen on the peripheral that impact that overall customer experience. Yes. This is a quote from, I think it's just it's an author of some children's book kind of thing, like some adult children book type thing. So kind of transitioning over to, we're here for a special cause, the Dare to Dream. My mother passed away from cancer many years ago. So supporting children with leukemia or any other rare disease, it really hits home to me. I really love to have the opportunity to talk about this. And also something I found really interesting. I saw this back in October, it was early October, on the Today Show. And I know we've all gone into we've all gone into a grocery store, a department store, drugstore, anything like that, where at the register, they ask you to donate. And sometimes you're in a hurry, or it's kind of frustrating, or you're not quite sure where your money's going. This was a really great story, because it taught me that even just rounding up at the cash register by saying, okay, your total is $195.79. That extra 21 cents, as you can see here in 2020, just by round up at point of sale machines, it was over $650 million that went directly to charity. And what this report did was show that money really truly 100% goes to charity. So that really opened my eyes, and it made me really excited. It really compelled me to want to use the opportunity to donate when I do go to the grocery store, if I go to a department store that offers that.
Love it.
Yeah, and so then the Dare to Dream, this, what a wonderful cause. And I really think that there's so much opportunity here. I think that the Fixed Ops Roundtable has really done a great job at putting this event together. And, going back, I must say I'm really proud because, Dealerware has done a great job of really providing technology to our customers. For example, we've created French language up in Canada to accommodate, the French speaking so that they can actually use our software in their native tongue. And so it's just really awesome to be a part of a company that has been really flexible and moving and trying to create a technology that really provides any type of accessibility or different languages, et cetera. I think it's just been a really great opportunity.
Erica, what a great message at this time of year. And, our really good friends at Dealerware, we know that you are on the cutting edge. You've thought of these things a lot quicker and long ago, more than others have, and you've put them into play. And now it's really nice to see all this coming into fruition, at this time for the fixed ops community. So great job to you, Erica, and fantastic message. And thank you so much for sharing your story with the fixed ops community. We don't hear too many stories, not enough stories. And you know what? It's a big part of, the service and parts and sales interaction at a dealership.
Yeah, it's really been an honor to be here. Thank you so much. And what a great cause. Again, thank you.
Erica Mitchell, everybody, is with a big company called Dealerware. She's the sales director, great friends of the Fixed Ops Roundtable. They provide some amazing technology around the service drive. And if you haven't met them yet, we encourage you to get involved. Dealerware.com. Erica's email is scrolling at the bottom of the ticker as well. Eric, I want to wish you and your family and the Dealerware family a happy Thanksgiving as well.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Erica Mitchell, everybody, from Dealerware, here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Now to scan the QR code on your screen to vote for the Best Practice Awards that will be announced at the end of the show. Remember, every vote counts, so make sure to vote for the 5 speakers or panelists whom you think are the best and brightest speakers on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And don't forget, you can only vote once.
The masquerade has just begun. Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable Dare to Dream event.
The glass may seem half empty, but it's sure filling up fast. We're here to change the future from the pain that's in our past. Just because it's always been doesn't mean it has to be. We can make a difference. Take this walk of faith with me. Let's light up that pretty night sky together. We're gonna overcome the darkness with the love that shines forever. Alana's glow reflects our hope in a future oh so bright. We're hand in hand hand across this land. You know we're gonna light the night. Oh, when our lights all shine together, it sure is a beautiful sight. Go to all the loved ones gone, our miracles in white. Pray for those who lend a hand because they see the need. United in one spirit and the same blood we all bleed. Let's light up that pretty night sky together. We're gonna overcome the darkness with a love that shines forever. Our lantern's glow reflects our hope in a future oh so bright. We're hand in hand across this land. You know we're gonna light the night. We're in this for life. Oh, come stand with us today. We're gathering to light the night across the USA. Let's light up that pretty night sky together. We're gonna overcome that darkness with the love that shines forever. Oh, our lantern's glow reflects our hope in a future oh so bright. We're hand in hand across this land. You know we're gonna light the night and shine so bright. Oh, we're gonna win this fight. Yeah, we're gonna light the night.
We're ready to leave waiting for the cashier in the past. It's time to pay for service the modern way with the Modern Payment Acceptance Panel.
There's no time like now at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. A subject that has been coming up for the past several events has been modern consumer payment acceptance. And here today to talk about that topic is Julie Douglas, who is the president of DealerPay. Also joining her today is the all-star panel, including Shon Kingrey, Ed Roberts, and Tully Williams. Everybody, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. Glad to be back.
Thank you, Ted.
Ed, you and I and Shawn are without mask at the moment, but Julie and Tully, those masks look great. So thank you so much for your support of Dare to Dream. I appreciate that. Let's get right into it if we could, everybody. And Tully, I'm coming to you to kind of lead things off. How has your payment acceptance, meaning, cards and check processing, how has that changed, let's say, in the past 5 years?
Well, I think when we're truly in the repeat and referral business, where does it start and end? At the service writer's desk. And when you look at the good old day, what happened? Okay, your bill is $4 trillion. The cashier's booth is around the corner, over to the right, take a left, and get in line. That doesn't work today in today's atmosphere. Today, we want to have it where it's ability for the customer to pay all different ways. One, do you want to pay online? Do they want to pay on the waiting room on their cell phone? Or do they want to come up and talk to the service advisor? Oh my God, what a concept. And actually talk about the bill and take payment there. That is the ticket, right? Now, the hard thing about it is service writers think they're super special and over busy. This to me is the most important piece of the visit. We check them in, we do everything right, but we have to have the ability to take payment, no matter if it's a warranty or not, take payment at the desk, right? And have those loves and kisses at the end. The deal is that payment has to be a process at the writer's desk. That is modern retailing.
Ed, I agree with Tully. It's really changed our industry. And, you've got a very busy organization there in Bozard. You got a lot of moving parts, a lot of consumers. Talk to us about how it's changed.
Well, just think about the last, like you said, last 5 years. We used to always slide the card. Now it's you insert the card, or it's tap to pay, or it's whatever. But another element of that is a text to be able to pay, a text link to pay. And the customers feel so much more secure than handing you their credit card or whatever else, when they can just click it, put the information in, and pay their bill online. And that's how they've been paying their bills now for years. So it just all ties together when you can do a click to pay.
And Shawn, what have you seen there? You've been overseeing a lot of stores. What's your perspective?
It's funny. It's funny. You can blame it on COVID, but really this all started before COVID. Back to Tully's point, guys, it's cradle to grave. What's convenient for the client? And whether you're on X Time or Time Highway, mobile pay is such a big part of it, okay? And if you've got a CFO or a dealer principal who's against it, it's all about customer convenience. It's all about streamlining the event. And back to what Tully said, shoving them down the street, down the corner, take a left here and a right here, to a person, and I don't mean this any disrespectful, who's making $12, $13, $14, $15 an hour. They're not getting paid on that RO. The person that got paid on the RO, the person that knows what they sold, is on the service drive. It needs to start and finish on the service drive.
Julie, you're working with dealers all over the country. You specialize in dealers and in these payment systems. What are you seeing?
Well, you guys touched on it. It's convenience, security, CSI, and the payments, the last experience they have at the dealership, even if they're not there. So it needs to make that consumer feel like you're paying attention to how they want to pay.
Super. Ed, is it important, to give the consumers options, when paying for service and parts in today's era?
Absolutely. It's important because it's their convenience. It's what they want to do. It's what they want to choose to do, whether they pay before they come in, whether they meet with you when you come back. But yes, having a cashier is antiquated because they want explanations at certain times, and you can't do any of that. So I'd like to create a link, send it to them to a text thread, and if they got questions, they can hit me back there. When they get here, it's about the delivery experience. Then I can deliver the vehicle, go over anything that we've done and whatever else, and it's about delivery at that point, and all the other stuff is behind us.
And Julie, you brought a really great point. It's about CSI. This is probably the last thing the customer is going to remember at the dealership, and how important it is to the dealer CSI.
Oh, it's absolutely very important. The concept of having great customer retention and repeat business is all around CSI. And that's in every department really of the dealership, is just making sure that, the concerns that they had, whether, they have a question about their RO, that you're not sending them down the hallway. And I see it very often, when we're bringing on new dealers, I say, how many service advisors do you have, and how many payment devices do you need? And if they say, we have a cashier, of course we can accommodate that. But I do see a big value in the consumer who's speaking to the advisor to be able to finish with the payment.
And Tully, you poked some fun at it, yet it's true. Tully, when you buy anything at any retail outlet today, whether it's in person or online, do you have to go to the cashier window and stand online and get directed there and wait to pay? And by the way, not a small bill in many cases, right?
Correct. You got to make it easy. But I think that what really happens is that, let's say there's a bill, a repair bill. Maintenance is pretty simple, I would think, right? Probably you're going to text them to them. They can pay on their phone because they feel secure. But what happens if the bill's $3,972.47? I might not want to pay on my cell phone without kind of talking to somebody first. And the nice thing about it is that we get to talk to the advisor. So what happened? What did you do? We laid a bill out. We talked to them. Oh my God, what a concept. Talk about what happened. Well, I thought you said this. Oh, let me fix that for you, Mr. Customer. Instead of going to the cashier, so he told me it was only going to be $2,700. Well, let me get him on the phone. And what happens? He's got a urinary infection because he's scared to death. So the whole point of it is that we can rely and do everything at the counter. We can make the customer happy. The service writer can fix whatever needs to be fixed. A service manager can come over to the desk if he needs to, hopefully never, right? And then what we all talk about, CSI, customer supplies income, right? We can talk about the survey. We can talk about thank you for coming in today. That is the key.
Can I set your next appointment?
Yeah, right. Things we need to be talking about, Ed, right?
Exactly.
Julie, have you been able to consolidate some of these things?
Oh,
with
absolutely.
Take us through
Absolutely.
it.
And even like you said, booking the next appointment, some of the technologies these days, and not all consumers are on board, but having the ability to even store their payment information for their next visit or when they come back. I would consider myself a pretty modern payments consumer, and I use my cell phone for everything. I tap terminals and I text and links and all the things. And I feel like, each dealership shouldn't have, antiquated technology with payments, because it's also the concept of security and all the different things surrounding electronic payments. It's kind of a big deal, and you need to make sure that, all the ends are buttoned up as well.
Now, Julie, you've got some different scenarios here. You've got Tully Williams overseeing 10 luxury stores in California. You've got Ed Roberts with a single point destination, very large one of the largest. I think Tully, Ed's got the largest shop on the East Coast from what you and I have discussed as well. And Shawn Kingrey, who's been overseeing multiple places, multiple states, and adding more, as they go. Julie, are you able to work and customize these solutions to these different, unique situations?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, especially lately, now that we have dealer management system integrations, we make it super easy for advisors to be able to pull an RO into our system and take the payment lickety split, whether the customer is right there in front of you or if you're texting a link. Those links that we text and email out also have the repair order attached. So when the consumer gets it, they say, oh, here we go. Here's my repair order. I'm going to go ahead and populate my payment data. If they're savvy, they have a mobile wallet, and boom, it's done. And what's great about it is that they're signing on their device. It's also signing on behalf of the RO, which is covering the dealerships for chargebacks, which is it's a big topic. I'm starting to hear a lot more about disputes and dealers not having the sufficient documentation to be able to submit a rebuttal. So they're losing chargebacks on items that they don't necessarily need to. So we've developed some of that technology to make it really easy for them and also protect them at the same time.
And Julie, you have this now available. This is not like sometime in the near future. You have this today.
Yes, sir. I have it today. And even, talking to Ed, we've got a mobile product. So, if you're going out and about, your advisor or whatever employee can actually take a payment from their mobile device using the DealerPay app with a Bluetooth card reader. So you're still getting all those card present rates and making sure that, you're capturing the full payment right there in front of your customer.
And Ed, you've told me that, being on the mobile trucks, and you've got a lot of them now on the road and growing, there are some unique situations to mobile, being able to have access to the internet and, things that we've discussed along the way. How do you see this, rolling out, and how important is this in the mobile initiative?
It's a key part of making it work, because if I'm reaching out to the customer after I'm done mobile, trying to get payment through somebody else, it all has to be done simultaneously to keep that convenience factor there, because otherwise I'm just extending out the amount of time that we're communicating and doing the service, whether my mobile truck's there or not. So doing it all at one time is key. But then talking about the chargebacks and the discrepancies, it wasn't that long ago that a customer wants to pay with a phone and we type that in. That's the hardest one to challenge. Mm-hmm. And the reason why we had to do that is because we couldn't text a link. Yeah, I couldn't text them a link. We couldn't email them a link. So having those elements now, that's the customer putting the information in, and it's a lot tougher for them to challenge those things in that situation.
Ed, you made some great points, and Shawn, you've lived that in the real world as well, right?
Yeah, we all have it. I'm going to take it one step further, and again, I know I'm obviously having some internet issues, but Julie and I have talked a lot, guys. This goes to back to what Tully said. It goes to the parts department too. You have a parts department that sends them 14 miles away to pay a bill with a part already in their hand, by the way. If the clients knew that they could leave, hate to say it, but it really goes the same way. It goes with delivering parts. You can now deliver a part when the payment's already made. The payment's already there. There's no, again, to Ed's point, over the phone, now you're collecting numbers. Guys, if you dispute that with the Discover American Express, you're going to lose 100% of the time. You're never going to win that conversation because you didn't have the card in their hand. You didn't have it. You're going to lose.
And another thing too, Shawn, is, how about that convenience factor? How would you like to just pay with MasterCard 5432 today? And we've got it on file and we can securely process that transaction for you.
And Julie, you can do that. You can do that. As I said earlier, you can do that now, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's funny, I'm going to jump on that real quick.
Sure.
As we're rebuilding the house, we're doing it with contractors, and I got an electrician. I says, don't send me a bill. You have my credit. We won't store your credit card. Guys, I want them to store my credit card. I don't want to get a bill in the mail. I don't want to worry about it. I actually want them to have my credit card. It's more convenient for them. Well, we won't do that. Guys, Tully, customer supplied income, buddy. That's what it is. It's all about CSI.
Yeah. I mean, Amazon does it. Why wouldn't your dealership do it?
And you know what? Going back to that Amazon scenario, Tully, you always talk about we're in the repeat and referral business. I know Steve Apicella, who was on the show as well, told us that Amazon would not be the Goliath that it is if they didn't have that repeat business, that repeat customer. So Tully, I think this really enhances that repeat and referral scenario.
It does, because you're making it easy to do business with you. The reason why we have repeat and referral business is, one, is your culture of your store make people happy. Everybody on this group, 100%. Two is it easy to do business with you? If you have a great CSI and the cashier is 4 miles away, it ain't going to work out. They're not going to come to you for the simple repair. As Ed likes to talk about tires, they're not going to run in and buy a tire from you in 14 minutes because it takes 25 minutes to get to the cashier's booth, right? That doesn't work for us. The issue is that we want to have it where we can do it. If you ever gone to an Apple store, there's no cashier. The person just pulls out their phone and says, okay, would you like, how much is that going to be? Sign here, please. That's what we want. We want to make it easy. One point I like to bring up, and this is the hard point, is that we got to make sure that we keep our office managers happy. And here's the great part of Julie's product, is that the great product is that we keep great records for the office manager. Because you know what? We can talk all we want here, and I'm just going to say it out loud. If the office manager is not happy, it's not going to last very long. And our goal is that how do we make sure that we have reporting, we keep our people doing the right thing. So when you talk about bill pay, is the process in bill pay correct? Keep yourself legal, make it easy for the customer, and the holy grail is your office manager not mad at you at the end of the day? And I want to say yes and yes and yes to all those. Julie's product does a great job making sure we have the right reports, making sure if we do have any chargebacks, God bless, we never have that, and make sure the process is right so they can balance your credit cards out on a daily basis.
Julie, Tully really says it all right there.
Well, whether it's a mobile product, whether it's a check, whether it's, done over the phone and they've keyed entered the card info, you have to funnel it into what their batch is going to look like. They have to be able to reconcile not only the bank, but the DMS on a daily basis. And even if there's one little baby 50-cent transaction that's off, it throws everything off. And you've got an unhappy office manager. That's how I started my career, was really making friends with the office manager first, and then getting in the door and showing them, ways that we can make their lives easier. If you can take 20 hours a month off their plate by consolidating their reporting so they can reconcile faster, that's huge. So, and especially having, the DMS integrations, because then it's going to link every transaction back to the dealer management system. So really, they only have to reconcile any exceptions, which would be like refunds or credits or things that they want to pay attention to. So that's key. I completely agree. Keep that office manager happy.
Julie, I know you have the office managers on board because a number of them now work for you. I've met your team. And that was the first thing, Shawn Kingrey, that impressed me about Julie, was that she said, we've got to win over that office manager for this to work. And Julie, the name of your company is Dealer Pay. So talk to us about that, because you specialize in just this, just in dealerships, and making this a convenient solution for people like Tully and Ed and Shawn.
Yeah, I've spent my entire career doing it. I started, 23 years ago selling my first Nissan dealership in St. Louis. And since then, I just paid attention. I paid attention to the requests that were coming in for support. What were the challenges that they were having? What are things that I could fix or solve with a software product or even a support solution that, makes their day easier. And, I guess you could say I'm a little passionate about it because I like the dealer space. The dealer space is unique in the sense that there's multiple businesses under one roof. So you have to be able to solve the problems in all of the departments, not just one. And you've got to be able to make sure that, everything with respect to how they're paid is on point. I mean, we're talking about large payments. We're talking about dealers that do anywhere from $25,000 a month to $2.5 million a month in credit card processing. So you just really have to make sure you're paying attention to all the details. And, not to pat myself on the back, but, that's what I've done for 23 years. And we're going to continue to develop the product, as we move into more modern times to make sure, we're doing the best job for the dealer.
Well, Julie, we're so proud to have you with us here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. So, okay, DMS integration, payment solutions. How difficult is it to get started at the dealership, and what are the next steps? How do we do it?
It's very easy. Depending on what DMS you have, you basically just turn us on, and then my team does the rest. We work with you on, what's the best landscape, where do you want your devices? How do you want the users set up? Anything that you have specifics about, like maybe you don't want a certain user to do refunds, or maybe you want reporting a certain way. We can customize really all of that for each individual dealer. And it's not just, the one location. We can do large enterprise dealers and even provide enterprise reporting, which is something that I haven't seen with my competition.
And Tully, what impresses me also about Julie is that not only does she work with dealers, but she is great at understanding their needs. And look at all the things that she does for dealerships.
I think that when you look at credit card processing, let's just get down to the credit card processing. Take the customer piece out. It's usually a deal that the bank said you must use my credit card to get the loan for the building. Okay, or it's a dealer association like, come on, bro, help me out a little here, right? But the problem with that is that if you have, and please don't take this offensively, Chase doesn't care about the Niello company, right? I can guarantee that Julie cares about the Niello company, because when I call up Julie, like, there's a credit card problem, I'll be all over it. When I call Chase, I'm like on my 8th tree and I'm leaving a message. And the goal is that, are your credit card processing company working for you? And I say yes, because it's so important. And when your credit card processors is where we take 99% credit cards, isn't this important for your store? The answer is yes, it is. Don't let a big box, don't care attitude. We need someone that was on our side 24/7.
Julie, I know this is true, but I'll give you the last word on that.
Yes. A lot of dealers think that they must use their bank or they must use a certain company, but to be honest with you, the bank is not doing the processing. The bank is just getting paid by the processor and to put their name on it, basically. So at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. Some of the bigger banks or processors even out there, they don't know specifics to dealers because they're selling their product just as much in a restaurant or a hotel as they are in a dealership. So having the ability to understand what departments do what, and even with changes with risk and COVID and everything, we are really making sure that we don't hold funds or batches, and that's a big problem. And like you said, calling 1-800-CHASE or 1-800 whomever, you're going to have a hard time because either they outsource their support to somewhere else, or they're not going to understand exactly what you're trying to accomplish or what problem you're trying to solve. So,
well, I think everybody on this panel today knows, Julie, that you reach out. You are easy to reach. As Tully said, if there's a problem or a hiccup along the way, I want to be able to go to Julie Douglas because I know you're going to take care of it. So, all right, Julie, what are the next steps? How do we get a hold of you? How do we get started? How do we learn more? What do we do?
Just call Julie. Just call me, text me, email me, however, and we'll do a cost analysis. We'll make sure the numbers make sense because that's a big deal, right? And then we'll make sure the landscape of your dealership is highly customized, and we'll take care of all the implementation, training, and ongoing support. And then we'll even, make sure you're aware of new developments and new products that we're coming out with specific to the dealership. So it's really not a complicated process that a lot of people may seem, but it's effective and we can do it pretty quickly. So.
And Tully, I can't imagine going another 6 months or another year, let alone 5 years, without being on top of this and being able to solve this for the customer.
When you look at our business, right? Our business is customer referral, right? We are in repeat referral business. But what part of repeat referral business is we have to make a profit, right? We have to take the money. And I hate to tell you, credit cards for service department is 99%. I tell you, if you don't have a credit card processors on your side, you have the service manager and the office manager are not going to be friends. So we need help. We need to make sure that this problem is not a problem. So we can work on getting people to come back, making people happy in the service drive. That's what we need to do as service managers, not deal with credit card processing problems.
All right. Shon Kingrey, Ed Roberts, Tully Williams. Julie Douglas is the president of DealerPay, and this modern payment acceptance is available right now for fixed operations leaders in our community. You're hearing from the best right now. Julie, that's your cell phone scrolling across the bottom of the screen.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Thank you. 314-578-3142. You can text me. I'll give you a call right back. We'll make a deal and get it done.
All right. Everybody, want to thank the panel. Want to thank you for great insights into what's really happening in our lives, in our dealerships. And yes, we got to keep the office manager and the service manager on good terms. So Tully, Shawn, and Ed, thank you so much for your time today. And Julie Douglas from DealerPay here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there, Julie Douglas, DealerPay's president and sales lady extraordinaire. Here at DealerPay, each day, our goal is to help your dealership exceed your customers' expectations. We help make the buying process quick and easy, thus increasing CSI scores and customer retention. Our point of sale solution helps to maximize daily productivity and increase revenue and profit margins in each department. We pay attention to even the smallest details for every transaction, helping your dealership to grow long-term customer relationships. Using our modern technology, DealerPay allows you to offer your customers 3 times as many ways to pay. We cater to all customers in all scenarios, helping your dealership provide a fast and secure payment experience. Dealership problems require dealership solutions, and we recognize what it takes to make your dealership successful. We're advocates for dealers and recommended in the industry. We want to work with you and help you grow your business. Call, text, or email us today for a consultation. DealerPay. Fast, organized, secure.
Here to show us how to turbocharge your service growth is Jim Roche, founder and CEO of WarrCloud.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Jim Roche is the founder and CEO of WarrCloud, who is turbocharging your automotive warranty processing, a great friend of the automotive retail community. Jim, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Ted, great to be here and always great to see you. Thank you.
A lot going on this time of year in automotive, especially in fixed ops. We're approaching the holidays. We got, I think, maybe 6 weeks left in the year. And I've never seen so much focus on warranty. And you've done some spectacular things in changing how we look at the way we process that. So my compliments and congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's you worry that when you say warranty or warranty processing, people are going to start to nod off. but it is an increasingly important revenue stream for the dealer's fixed operations, which is the primary profit driver. So when you look at through that lens, it tends to get exciting.
Well, I know you've got some great information to share, so I'm going to bring it up and let you take it away.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, let's turn to the slides. Today's topic that I chose is related to where I think we're going as an industry in the next couple of years. We've already seen here as we approach the end of the year that new vehicle sales are decelerating. New vehicle sales and used vehicle prices have softened. And as usual, we're going to be going back and looking at fixed operations to really be the profit driver for the dealer. And one of the things that is a way to optimize profit is outsourcing. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about outsourcing in that context. But let's begin as I always like to say, let's start at the beginning. What is business process outsourcing, or is commonly referred to as BPO? And in the context of automotive, it's the practice of using outside companies to perform essential business operations in lieu of using dealership employees, dealership staff. And this isn't new. I mean, as most of us know, BPO is already a widespread practice across most industries globally. Dealers already use outsourcing for some key business processes, marketing, BDC, back office functions such as payroll or data entry. And service departments already outsourced, just not in a way that you would typically think. Glass repair, towing, body shop upholstery are already outsourced. So it is very, very common, and I think it will become even more common as we look for ways to shore up profitability. The area I would zoom in on, not surprisingly, I suppose, is the state of in-house warranty processing. Today, processing claims in-house consumes about 12% of warranty gross profits, which is a huge bite out of gross. And the reason for that is simple. It's because today there is no technology that makes us more efficient when it comes to processing claims. So each claim takes about, on average, 11 minutes to process. Skilled employees are hard to find and keep. As I mentioned, there is zero in-house automation. And as we'll look at more here momentarily, the W-2 based claims administrators working at dealerships seem to be a dying breed. This is the trend line that we are seeing for human-based warranty administrators at the dealerships. It's on the decline. And what we're seeing is an acceleration of that decline as we go forward. So why would you want to look at outsourcing something like warranty processing? Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons. First, outsourcing is less expensive. With the right vendor, you can save 50 to 60% off of your current expenses. And this is really the most significant way to move toward an improved gross. You can also convert your fixed expenses, think salaries, benefits, bonuses, to a variable expense where the expense level, rises and falls depending upon your warranty revenue level in a particular month. Because business process outsourcers are specialists, they have the ability and the time to find that extra 0.2 or 0.4 hours, which increases your warranty billings. And outsourcing is faster. Typically claims are processed within 24 hours, if not sooner. So those are all some great reasons, but as they say, but wait, there's more. One of the dangers of in-house warranty processing is getting behind. Outsourcing, you don't get sick or quit or go on vacation. Sometimes with some employees, complacency can set in. You sort of accept the status quo. There can be a lack of accountability, certainly in longer tenured employees, where by contrast, the accountability of a BPO is non-negotiable. Expectations continue to rise, and you as the customer, you demand top performance. And business process outsourcers have more expertise. Typically they employ battalions of people who have years, if not decades, of experience in warranty processing in each brand. This is impossible to replicate in a dealership setting, and I think really is a significant benefit for outsourcing. And final slide on this, Outsourcing removes the compliance camouflage. This is a critical but hard to spot thing. In-house warranty administrators spend time sort of cleaning up superficial compliance problems, where you're not getting signatures or technicians aren't putting on good stories. But outsourcing typically will bounce back anything that isn't compliant. And this gives you line of sight on all of the areas where you may be falling short of compliance. And that enables you to fix the root cause, not sort of paper over the superficial areas where you might not be compliant. And this significantly reduces your vulnerability to audit. Also, better performance just means improved scores on your OEM key metrics on your dashboards, such as days to submit or first-time submission success. And as the service leaders on this call know, those are significant things that not only the OEM headquarters, but also the field people are tracking. Finally, people who do in-house warranty processing are leaving the workforce, as I said, and they're not being replaced by the younger generation. So that's a real problem. If you're not ahead on this issue, I think that you're behind, and you'll continue to fall behind, and you may be in for some nasty surprises, because we all know Murphy's Law does not send you a memo 2 to 4 weeks in advance on when something untoward is going to happen. Here's a really interesting perspective. Thinking about Murphy's Law, warranty processing demand will increase in the coming years. What we're looking at starting in 2022 and then going out through 2026, we're projecting a rising warranty incurrence at the dealership, and therefore demand for warranty processing. Through the end of that year, it will increase. Our projection is 27.2%. Now, we've seen warranty fall over the last couple of years, driven primarily by the pandemic. But there are a couple of really, really good reasons, Ted, why we think we're going to see warranty increasing. The first, not surprising, is that as we go out in the coming years, we're going to sell more new vehicles. As the chip shortage alleviates, we're going to see inventory availability increase. And what that means is we're going to sell more cars. Well, what that means is there will be millions more warranty-covered vehicles on the road, which means they will be coming to the dealership. My back of the napkin is that over the last couple of years, we've sold about 9 million fewer vehicles than we would have otherwise at a 17 million run rate. Wow. So going forward, we're going to see that replaced, and that means there will be more warranty work in the dealership. But the second and more really kind of hidden and interesting thing, this information, which I just saw last week from produced by We Predict, shows the warranty spend on an electric vehicle versus an internal combustion engine. Now look at that. We already know that we're going to be selling more and more EVs as we go forward. And the warranty in the first 12 months of an EV is 300% higher than on an internal combustion engine on average. Now, so we're going to be selling more cars, which means more warranty covered vehicles, millions of them. And the percentage of electric vehicles is going to be increasing in the coming years. And look at the average warranty spend for those. So those two factors are going to drive significantly more warranty work into the dealership, which means the warranty processing volume is also going to be higher. So those are the factors that I think see us looking at more and more reliance on warranty here going forward, Ted. Finally, just as kind of wrapping up, I think the case in favor of outsourcing of warranty processing is overwhelming. It doesn't matter your objective. If your objective is to improve profitability today, check. Sharpen your management focus on customer loyalty by not concentrating on back office functions, check. Tightening up your warranty compliance now, checked, or just getting ready for the future and everything that's going to unfold. Warranty, BPO, checks all your boxes. So anyway, that's those are the slides, and that's kind of why I get to where I think we're going to be here in the coming years. It's very, very compelling.
That one slide was very compelling about the EVs compared to the internal combustion engine. Jim, what's Give us an example. What's a typical warranty processing problem that you'd see?
Yeah, boy, that's a long list. I think the one that I would highlight the most in today's world, which I hear a lot, is, you suddenly, the person or persons who were doing it at the dealership are gone, right? They leave the workforce for whatever reason.
Okay.
And here is one of the really nasty things about warranty. When you get behind, it's very, very, very difficult to catch up. The average dealership, and this is the average, Ted, across all dealers, across all brands in the United States, does about $105,000, $110,000 in warranty per month. So if you get behind, that's a lot of uncashed checks sitting on your desk, and you just get further and further behind. So when you start to dig that hole, it's really, really difficult to get out of it.
Why are those warranty administrators that we've had for years and years at the dealership, why is that on the decline now? Why are there not new people coming into that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just got to call it the way that it is. First of all, the existing people that we've had, great people, I think are aging out of the workforce. You see a lot of retirement. You see a lot of people who are stepping out of automotive. And unfortunately, franchise retail automotive today is not a first career choice for a lot of the up and coming generations, right? I mean, I hate to say it because as you know, Ted, I'm a 30+ year guy, but that's just the case. Maybe I was talking about this with my daughter who is 25, and she kind of put the exclamation point on it for me. I was talking about this and she said, yeah, well, Dad, nobody my age wants to sit at a green screen and push paper and warranty around. No. And I kind of went, oh, okay. When you put it like that, that's very stark, but I think that puts the finger on it. The people are leaving, and, we're not a career destination. That's a different topic, but I really think that's the reason.
I've always wondered, how can you tell when you walk into the warranty processor's office, you see the stack of ROs that they're processing, but it never really goes down, Jim. Okay. So how do you know if that administrator is doing a decent job at that task?
Yeah, assuming that you still have one. There's a couple of things, all kidding aside, that I would suggest that you look at. Okay. If you're the service leader, take a look at the last 6 months of your warranty receivables. What's the state of your warranty receivables? Not just this month, but go back and look for a pattern. Also, go back last 6 months and see how much warranty you've written off. What do your write-offs look like? And finally, check your OEM dashboard scores. You can log into whatever your brand is. They have an OEM portal, and it will give you your performance metrics. Look at those three things to kind of get a sense of where you're at. Not just a stack of paper. I get that that's kind of the daily you walk by and you take a glance, but sometimes these things can be a little bit deeper. That's not very time consuming, but I think it would be critically important to take a look at those.
Jim, a lot of warranty administrators do other tasks in the dealership. That's not their only function. Are you advocating that we let them go? What are your thoughts there?
No, I'm not advocating any specific action. I mean, really, that's a dealer decision that should be made on a case-by-case basis. But I'm certainly advocating outsourcing warranty processing for all the reasons that we mentioned. But here's the thing I think that's kind of a little bit below the surface, that when you're thinking about this, because I hear all the time, gosh, I've got somebody who's been here 15 years. I get what you're saying. I get where we're going, but right, it's a human factor. Here's something really important to consider. Today, according to Cox Automotive Research, 72% of dealers can't find qualified service personnel, right? I guarantee you've probably got open recs. Now, that person has a lot of knowledge and a lot of skills that can be repurposed and used elsewhere in the dealership. So, again, case-by-case decision that the dealer needs to make, but look a little broader. I think that there's a case to be made, but there's lots of ways to use that skill set.
Jim, a lot of eye-popping information that you've shared with us today. We've heard a lot of things about warranty, and you're showing us now that the facts are maybe a little different than what we've been hearing from others. So I hope you will come back and talk to us again about this. A lot of dealers here on the roundtable are now using WarrCloud, where they may have never thought about that just a few years ago. And you offer a great resource for our industry. So congratulations to you, Jim Roche at WarrCloud.
Thank you, Ted. It's, as you know, this is one of my favorite things to do. We don't often get this many experts pulled together in front of this large of an audience and to help a great cause. It's that giving time of the year. So I'm hoping that that your audience will dig deep for a worthy cause. Thank you.
And I want to wish you, Jim, and your family a very happy Thanksgiving as well.
Thank you, Ted. And back to you and yours and to everyone.
Everybody, a great talent within our industry. Jim Roche, the CEO and the founder of WarrCloud, here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Up next, we have Chris Chesney and Tully Williams, who are ready to talk about making automotive repairs simple for the customers and dealership using advanced tools from Repairify.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Chris Chesney is the Vice President of Training and Organizational Development at Repairify. He's a best practice winner here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Today, we've paired Chris up with Tully Williams from the Niello company up in Sacramento, California. Chris and Tully, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted.
Chris, a lot of great feedback on your last segment at the Roaring 20s. I know Tully and I spoke about that shortly thereafter. I want to talk to you a little bit about what you're doing in the market, because I see Repairify, Chris, everywhere. Every week, there's a big announcement, something new coming. There's a lot that you're doing for the consumer today and for dealers, and there's a lot of complexity in the work that's involved. So, Chris, if you would, kind of take us through that.
Well, Ted, thanks for having us on again. And Tully, welcome. It's really today, the ADAS systems, the safety systems on the vehicles that Tully's selling every day, that people are buying every day, are equipped with technologies that we could only dream of several years ago. And they're beginning to scale to the point where you can't find a vehicle driving down the road very often or in our shops every day that don't have a safety system on them. I can remember about 7 or 8 years ago when I started doing research around ADAS, walked into a body shop across the street from my research center and just talked to the manager about the technologies. And he said, yeah, we don't see those very often. And when we do, we send them to the dealer. They take care of them. So we really aren't interested in getting into ADAS calibrations or services. I said, well, that's great. Can I look around a little bit? He said, yeah, help yourself. So I walked through the lot. There were 14 cars in the bays in some area or stage of repair, and 13 of the 14 had some level of ADAS system on board that needed to be calibrated. So that was 8 years ago. Today, that's even more prevalent. And what I'm aligning with today, to just give you an analogy to look at from our perspective as service providers and from the motor's perspective, is people today tend to get in the vehicle and they're annoyed by the lane keep assist or the lane departure warnings or those types of things, and they just don't know why they're there. They weren't onboarded well when they purchased the vehicle, new or used, and so they tend to go into the information stack and turn them off. And that's akin to not buckling your seatbelt when you're driving the car. And you all remember the click it or ticket campaigns that were rampant 15, 20 years ago that really brought that awareness to all of us about the safety system on board that vehicle, the seat belt, that we really needed to pay attention to. ADAS systems are exactly the same thing. And so our efforts at Repairify are to provide shops, collision centers with the technology and the talent to be able to service those systems appropriately, to return that vehicle to the motorist in the way it was designed so that we're clicking that seat belt, if you will, for them. So we're excited to bring those technologies to light and anxious to talk more about them.
Chris, great analogy. I love the explanation. Tully, that's in your wheelhouse as well.
You know, and you think about it, is that when you look at a body shop as a dealership, it's the same thing. We're selling the capacity of hours we have. And also, with a body shop, what do we worry about? Rental car expense. And I think when you look at this product here, is one of the problems we have at our body shop as well, is that those cars have some certain services or security systems that must go to a dealer. Well, we assume must go to a dealer to be repaired. And what we do is that, what does that do? That stops the process 2, 3, 4, even 5 days. And that's with a great relationship with the body shop. As our body shop is part of our family, we give them professional treatment. It doesn't mean you're going to get in today. And the issue now is what we have is the ability to help our technicians at our body shops perform all, I'm going to say it one more time, all of the repairs at the store. And what does that do? Decreases rental car expense. What do insurance companies hate? Rental car expense. But also, we're going to get the car out of the shop faster, which in turn helps our customers out. And we're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it with OEM stuff. So the nice thing about Repairify helps us keep the car in the shop, give the hours to our technicians at the body shop, lower our rental car expense, and ultimately make our customers happy. It's a win-win for everyone.
Exactly.
Chris, how do you like that explanation, Chris?
That is perfectly described, Tully. It fits the model as we designed it. And the other thing that we end up seeing in the mechanical space at your dealerships, especially the used car segment of your business, is the need to have that talent and technology aligned with the vehicle that you're trying to prepare to put on the lot. And our technology, it covers all makes, all models, and it really focuses on scaling that talent and technology at the appropriate time. So the thing that we're seeing besides the not buckling the seatbelt issue is when the vehicle's in the repair center or it's being reconditioned to be put on the lot, many times you're replacing components on the vehicle. You may just remove a bumper cover for maybe a spot repair, or replacing a sensor or a harness or something, or a mirror was damaged and you replace that. Those components really initiate the need to calibrate that system again. And if you don't, you're selling a vehicle that's not, in my words, this is a Chesneyism, is not in a ready to crash state. And so all of these systems sit on the vehicle waiting for something to happen so they can protect the motorist from that event. And if they aren't prepared to activate and react quickly, then somebody's going to get hurt. And none of us want to be put in that liability position. So it's not just the body shop, but the mechanical shop who replaces a controller on board the vehicle, a computer, and they don't do variant coding. They don't tell it what vehicle it's been put on and invite that module to join the network on board. Those systems become inactive and you're sending the car out potentially in a dangerous mode that we don't want to provide our customers in any way, shape, or form.
Tully, this is not going away. It's getting bigger and bigger. It's the entire industry. What are your thoughts and how this affects our fellow fixed ops
he
directors?
brought up the used car piece, right? The body
Recon,
shop
yeah.
is a separate issue. Crash, cars destroyed, blah, blah, blah. We fix it. We make the customer happy. But when you look at the business today with used cars, is a huge deal. And, yes, we can fix our own OEM problems. But the problem is that dealerships don't sell only their OEM car. And if you're going to run a good, I hate to say this out loud, a great used car department, we are not going to make sure that all of our cars are fixed properly, because that's our reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have a great reputation of selling great used cars, all of the safety things must be fixed. All of the recalls must be done. So what helps, what Chris does for us here is, again, when it comes to used cars, what's the killer on used cars? Days in recon. And our goal is to get them out in 3 days. If we have to send it even to a sister store, or God forbid, an outside store, boom, 7 days, the car could also change value. So the goal is that keep everything in the shop. Why? So we can sell more hours and keep that retention time in the shop down and keep it in that 3 hours instead of shipping it out and waiting. And the used car is going crazy. And then the used car manager asks for discounts. And then, oh my God, it goes crazy. Keep it in the store. The problem we have is we have to send things out. Chris's product helps us keep it in the store at the body shop, but also, more importantly, because I'm more on the service side, keep it all your recon in-house. Sell those hours through those great technicians in-house. That's the win.
Tully, recon has never been a bigger topic than it is right now. Okay, it has come to the top. Fixed Ops Roundtable, we have used vehicle managers, reconditioning managers attending all of these events, and they're all concerned, Chris, with how long it's going to take to get that vehicle, like Tully said, frontline ready. And in the past, it didn't maybe matter so much, but with used vehicle values today, as they are, Chris, this is top of mind.
Absolutely. I get back to the scaling of talent and technology. Today, we many times argue I don't have the talent in the bays. I have a technician shortage. And we throw technician shortage at all of our problems. And the reality is you can use technology to bridge that gap by hitting the easy button, by hitting the Repairify button, if you will, to bring that service or that technology or that talent to bear at the time you need it, not having to wait on availability at your mechanical shop, not waiting on availability at your sister store, but not waiting on the availability of a mobile tech that the team might have a source to just do those things that maybe they don't have the ability to do. You can hit that button and call on us, and we can bring that to bear to keep the work flowing. It's not just condensing the number of days, but the stalling of the vehicle, stalling of the vehicle in the workflow costs dollars and cents. It eats up hours every day. And so you need to keep that vehicle and that repair moving through the workflow constantly, and we can help do that.
That easy button, Tully, is a great Chesneyism. I think it's going to go down as certainly one of those.
It's interesting you talk about how recon and used cars is really kind of integrated into the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and I say amen to that. And if you look at a lot of big things coming out today, and I've talked about it a lot, and a lot of other people have, is that how do we buy quality used cars? And a lot of times, what do we look at? We look at our service drive. How do we help these people in the service drive get into another great used or new automobile? And a lot of times we have is a brand, maybe that's not our brand, that comes in with a check engine light. What do we do? Oh my God, we can't buy the car. But you know what? Let's find out if it's a simple or a big fix, or if it is a fix, but we might have a better idea of what it is. So quality of purchasing cars is another win for a product like this, is that we can find out what is wrong with the car before we buy it. We can discount that car because, the customer knows what's wrong with it. And also we can say, we'll take it for this price because, we have to fix this safety item. As you would expect a quality used car, we want to make sure that we fix your car up to that same quality standard. So making sure we know how we buy cars, making sure we keep all of that in-house. I'm going to say it again. It's all about getting those hours in your store. Don't let them go away. Keep them in your store.
Amen to the hours. Chris, I'll give you the last word.
Well, Tully, thanks for being on, and Ted, thanks for the opportunity. But at the end of the day, the vehicle's not going to get any more simple than it is today. It's going to continue to advance in technology. We're working on and selling the most technologically advanced machine on the planet. We are working on a system that is significantly more advanced than the Space Shuttle, than the F-35, which is the most sophisticated aircraft on the planet. An F-35 contains around 27 million lines of code on board to operate its systems. The average F-150 has over 150 million lines of code on board to operate all the systems on board, including the safety systems. And so we're expecting our technicians and our sales staff and our service staff to be able to solve the problems on those vehicles. So two things need to happen. One is we need to invest in our people so that they're prepared to address those issues. Two is we've got to have a scalable approach to that talent and apply the right technology at the right point in time that meets that technology in the bay at the appropriate position. So we're here to do that. That's what Repairify was stood up to do, and we're happy to help anybody on the call that's interested.
Chris, if our audience is ready, which they are, to learn more, how do we reach out to Repairify? What's the best way? How do we get started?
Repairify.com or Aztech.com, ASTECH.com. Both will get you to a position where you can fill out an information form and a team member will reach out to you and have a conversation with you.
And I see if somebody wants to reach out to you, Chris, I see an email coming by in the ticker here, chris.chesney@repairify.com.
Always welcome.
Wow. Great information. Tully, thank you for helping to put it in perspective for our audience. I think that helps drive it home.
Amen. You know, it's all about the hours, my good friend.
Right. I've heard that before. Everybody, I want to thank so much Tully Williams from the Niello Company, Chris Chesney from Repairify. Gentlemen, Thanksgiving is next week. I want to wish you both and your families a very happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you all. Thanks. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Chris Chesney from Repairify with Tully Williams here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Would you change a tire without an impact wrench? Then why document a repair story without the pencil wrench? Have you seen these type of warranty claims and legal ticking time bombs being generated in your store? Did you know dealers are 10 times more likely to get audited by the manufacturer than by the IRS? Experts say the number 2 reason for warranty debit is improper documentation of the complaint, cause, and correction. Let's face it, our technicians are the very best at diagnostics and repairs. Typing, spelling, grammar, not so much. Technicians are compensated for fixing vehicles, not technical composition. However, almost every dime collected relies on solid documentation. You'd never see your physician wasting billable hours by typing away at a PC. Why would we squander our most valuable commodity we sell in our service departments? With Pencil Wrench on your Workbench PC, you'll immediately compose clear, concise, and OEM-compliant repair event descriptions in a matter of seconds. Pencil Wrench takes the worry out of warranty compliance by ensuring every story has the 6-phrase OEM format. With our super quick point-and-click composition, your technicians will spend more time under the hood generating precious billable hours. The question always is, will it work for my store? The proof is in black and white, but more importantly, see what our clients are saying about us. Experience our incredible support team, add billable hours, increase throughput, and provide your clients with a transparency like never before.
It's time to unmask cancer. Visit fixedopscares.org or scan the QR code on the screen and make a donation to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society now. You may notice a familiar face on our next panel. That's right. I got to be a part of our next panel with Anthony Giagnacovo, CEO of CallRevu, and we talked about service centers, technology, and phones. Up next.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. One of the biggest challenges that service departments still face is a widespread staffing shortage. It's happening throughout the dealership, and one of the big topics at the most recent Fixed Ops Roundtable was the phones. Here today is a panel of experts where we're going to talk about what's happening at the retail environment. I want to introduce everybody to our panel, which today is hosted by CallRevu. We have with us today Delaine from the Henson brand dealerships. We have Anthony Giagnacovo, the CEO of CallRevu. Scott Gregg from Tucson Subaru, Fixed Ops Director. Shawn Butler, the Fixed Ops Director at Bristol Honda, part of a much larger group. And welcoming back also Brooke Furniss from BZ Automotive Consultants. Everybody, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I love the masks, everybody, so great job. And thank you for all your support of Dare to Dream and what we're doing. Shawn, I think we get right into it with you, if that's okay, to kind of kick things off. You know, I mentioned the shortages in help, and service, phones. What do you see from your perspective at retail, and is that going to end anytime soon?
Well, you know, we've had, it's kind of different in what areas of the country you're at and where you're working for. We've been pretty fortunate not to super suffer from staffing shortages, more of like COVID or sicknesses get us from time to time. But one of the places that I recently found out we were falling short was on answering the phones, right? I've got marketing going on. I'm sending out mailers. I've got a killer website. I'm doing email blast. And then I come to find out that in the first half of a recent month, we'd answered 900 phone calls. We booked 34% of them to appointments. But then I found out we missed 400 phone calls, never got answered. I almost fell out of my chair. And it was at that moment I realized that I needed to improve. And it was through introduction through CallRevu that it was a company that we use. And I didn't even realize I had a login. I have a login, didn't know about it. So I was happy to learn that because, you know, I'm wasting my money doing marketing and advertising if we're not answering the phone and getting the people in here. You know, we have to staff to that need. And since then, I've addressed that issue between staffing, between hiring somebody and also getting a company to answer the phone after hours. So a twofold attack there.
And Shawn, something so basic as that, answering the phone. I would imagine that most dealerships are not monitoring that or looking at that metric. Talk to us a little bit more. You said you found that out through your relationship, your company's relationship with CallRevu?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I was introduced in some. We actually have multiple stores here in East Tennessee. We have a Akron and Mazda store, which falls underneath my direction for the Fixed Stop side, and then the GM up there was like, "Hey, I'm getting ready to do my login and my introduction with CallRevu. You want to jump on with me?" And I was like, "Hey, what's this CallRevu thing? Let's check it out." And so, wow, it was a 30-minute process for that store. And then I spent another 2 hours on the phone with the lady. She probably was really tired of me at the end of the thing. But I was really interested in doing a deep dive and learning way more about this program that apparently you can listen to the calls if you'd like. You can track it. They can dial it down by what time they came in, how many seconds they were on the phone. Did it ring back to another phone? It was so detailed information. I was blown away. It made me realize that we were missing a boat. Simple math, right? If we're averaging a 34% book rate on those 400 phone calls we missed, we would have had another 120 appointments that would have equaled 5 a day times $300 a ticket times, 64% gross. We missed out on $21,000 worth of business by not answering the phone. Wow. Stupid.
Scott Gregg, over at Tucson Subaru, you're the fixed ops director. You got a big shop. You got a lot of service advisors. I know you've got a BDC, a lot of techs in the shop. Busy place. Talk to us about staffing shortages and talk to us about the phones.
Staffing is definitely an issue. More of the entry-level type things. A lot of attendants, BDC is one of them too, which is not really entry-level, but seems to be a struggle keeping people in there. About the time you get them trained, they decide they're going to go somewhere else or something, and or they move up in the company. We do promote a lot from within, so it's an ongoing thing, and just getting people in here to interview is another struggle. They apply, and then you call them to interview, and then they don't show up for the interview, or they don't show up for work after you've screened them and everything, and it's quite a struggle. I read some information the other day. They said post-pandemic, the turnover rate's up by 50 to 75%, and it also takes about 18% longer to fill a position. So that's really making struggles for everybody. We do have an in-house BDC. I try to keep 5 people in there. We've got it fully staffed right now. We also use CallRevu. They do give you a lot of very good information and the call recordings and exactly how many calls have come in and appointments set from them and so on and so forth. So a lot of really good stuff from them. And but our BDC does a really good job. We do inbound and outbound calls. We follow up on all the decline services, recalls, things like that, Starlink notifications from Subaru. And that's helped a lot. The decline services alone, in 10 months last year, we did almost $700,000 in additional business just from following up on decline services.
And Scott, it sounds like from what you and what Shawn are saying, the measurement part is really critical to what you're doing there at the dealership.
Yes, obviously you want to track all your KPIs, and that's a good one to follow up on is how many calls you got coming in, how many are answered, all of that, how many appointments are set from the ones that are answered. And it's a good way to really stay on top of things, make sure your BDC is performing well, and make sure you're getting all the business you can. Just like Shawn said, you don't want to leave anything laying on the table. Can't afford that these days for sure.
Delaine, you've got 3 dealerships there in Texas, part of a much bigger group. And I know the phones are ringing. You and I have talked about staffing and shortages and a lot of stuff that your dealership has been working on and, put into place. Talk to us a little bit about the phones.
Yeah, so if you're unfamiliar with Hinson brand, we're out in Madisonville, Texas, in a town we have about 4,000 people here. So we're in a very rural community, and we have been having the same issues that the rest of you guys are talking about as far as staffing up, because I drive an hour to our store every single day, and majority of our employees do the same. So it's really hard for us to recruit people right now to keep our staff bulked up to be able to answer the phone, service all of our customers. And our biggest struggle right now is we had a centralized BDC for the last year or so, and we just dissolved that. And now we're making a transition back to trying to build up an internal BDC again. So at the moment, we don't really have much of a BDC. So we're relying on our staff that's here working, and hopefully we can keep a heavy staff to be able to answer the phones and communicate with these customers. But it's been a challenge over the last few months, especially to make sure we just have enough hands on deck to keep that going. That's probably why we've had some conversations with CallRevu to help us out.
Wow. A lot of interesting feedback coming out of retail. Brooke, talk to us a little bit about the phones, and I know you've got a lot to share on that.
Yeah. So, and I love this topic. Anytime that the phones get brought up, because you have one end of the spectrum, people are like, oh, the phones. I'm like, don't disregard the phones. First off, don't disregard the phones. So last year, 2021, Brian Pash did a incredible study with a lot of different companies to say, okay, where exactly are these phone calls going? And it was if you were living under a rock and missed this report, go back and read it. But the main bullet point in regard to this was that all of these, especially when it comes to SEM phone calls that are coming in, all these phone calls and all of this sales Google budget that you're sinking in, it's not for sales. In fact, 12.84% of the calls coming in were for sales. So wait a second. All the sales money and budget we're pumping in, and only 12.84% of those calls are for sales. All the rest of that is for service. So anytime I onboard or I'm talking to a client, I always ask, what is your sales budget? What is your service budget? And inside of that, what's your fixed op? What's your service? And then from there, I go, what are you doing from a sales and service fixed ops? And I literally break down all of their phone calls. I want all your tracking metrics. And if you're not using a call tracking service, we have a little bit of a come to Jesus meeting. And I want to get into their actual call tracking metrics. Inside of that study of those 12.84 metric, of those actual calls, what do you think actually happened with those 12.84% of those sales calls? 28% were missed opportunities, 18% had appointments that were made, and 54% needed follow-up. Do you think that that 54% actually were followed up? Probably not. I mean, realistically, people don't follow up with phone calls. So I go in to say, okay, how is your phone system set up? Do you have a call tree? Do people actually follow up and use that call tree? Is it set up correctly? What do you have within that call tree? Is it going to the right place? Because that phone just rings and rings and rings. So from there, how many are firm appointments? Are they sales appointments? Are they service appointments? Did they just get on hold and leave a message? Did they go to a person? Did that person follow up? I mean, I literally have this massive list of like, where's everything going? When is the hot day? When's the hot hour? Because let's say that Tuesday at noon is your hot day. Great. Everybody's at freaking lunch. Why are you having everyone go to lunch at noon when everyone is calling at that time? Switch that around. If you're so stretched thin and you want to do an outside BDC, great. Then your outside BDC needs to know this. If you're doing it internally, you need to work on all these different metrics, but you've got to have a system in place. CallRevu is a great one. There's all these tools out there that are systems in place to say, okay, how are we going to best do this? But those calls that are coming in, the majority are going to be service. And instead of overwhelming your service department, say, okay, well, I know the majority are going to be, they're just calling to figure out what is the status on my freaking car. Well, then have that go in a certain direction and then let the rest of them go to make an appointment. Hey, I want to know what's going on with my warranty, but have them go in a different direction because right now you are just overwhelming the hell out of your service department. And quite frankly, that is not fair for them. You need to make it a little bit, fine tune it and streamline it so it's going to this department. It's going over here, but you've got to have a plan. You've got to have a process and honestly, a come to Jesus meeting with all your departments and say, okay, how do we want to do this? But just going and saying, oh, we're going to go grab a call service and call tracking service just to make it all better. It's not going to make it better. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Getting some call tracking service and thinking that is going to fix the problem is not going to fix the problem. You've got to get all the departments, sales, service, parts, BDC, your receptionist, and come all together and say, how do we want this mapped out? And it's an ever-changing process because if one person leaves and that extension changes, okay, now where's that going? Now let's say that so-and-so goes here. Okay, now what happens? Now let's say we'll talk about the spamming issue because heaven forbid that you call someone and it comes up as spam. No one is answering that phone. No one's answering that. So that's a whole other thing. Or someone texts us. But you've really got to go down and pen to paper, go through and say, how is this going? Where is it going? And take some pressure and weight off your service department's shoulder. Please take this off their shoulder. So I get a little passionate about this, a little passionate about it, Ted, a little bit passionate about it.
We asked CallRevu to come in today and if a specialist would be on our panel, and we are very honored to have the CEO of CallRevu with us today. Anthony, your company serves over 5,000 automotive dealers. This is your business. This is what you do. And it sounds like there's a huge opportunity.
Tremendous. And I echo what everybody said on the call, and I can't, I can't just say that what Brooke said is spot on. It is 110% spot on. A couple of things, and I tell people this all the time, a solution like ours is only good if you're using it. If you bought it not to do anything with it and you're not putting through a process, as Brooke mentioned, it's not going to work. So I always tell people, if you're not measuring it, you can't manage it. Start with that. So you got to be able to measure it, because if you're not, then all you're talking about is, I think we're getting too many calls, or I think we're getting too many of this. And absolutely, yes. But you got to be able to measure it. So you start with that. Then you got to make it so that it's easy. We're overwhelmed with technology already at the dealerships. It's just unbelievable how much is available. So how do you make it easy so that it's helpful? So making sure that you're providing them with help and assistance, that it is accretive in the sense that it's going to add value to what I'm doing. It's not just another tick in the box. I mean, I get Scott and Shawn, you guys must hear it all the time. I did it because you asked me to do it, but is it changing any of the behaviors? Are you making it so that we're doing it better for the store, for the organization, for our customers? Are we doing that? And then, last but not least, it's really got to be helpful for the individuals that are using it and for the customer as well. There's a couple of things that we talked about here, and how does that work? To make it easy, you want to make sure you're filtering out the noise. I can't remember who said it, but there's the volume of calls that are coming through is unbelievable. And this morning I went through, and I won't give a name of the dealership. It's one of you on this panel, but I went in and started looking at some things. And, when you look at the service appointments, 60% of the appointments calls come at the dealership within 3-hour periods. 27% of service calls happen on the Monday. It's amazing. I mean, you got this whole volume, and Brooke was saying about being able to manage the, when are things happening? If you have a whole bunch of calls coming in at lunchtime and everybody's out to lunch at lunchtime, well, that's a problem. But, measuring it allows you to manage it. What else I found really interesting was that 47% of the calls were service department reasons. So you're calling to make an appointment for a service department. And Shawn, your number is startling. I mean, think about that. What did you say? $21,000 of potential revenue that you lost this month because you didn't answer the calls. Where do those guys go? If they called you and they didn't answer you, where would they go? Good questions. And we're always asking that. Where would they go? Would they go to another dealer? Would they bring it to a do-it-yourselfer? Would they go to a Jiffy Lube, wherever? I don't know, but you want to make sure you're talking to the people. And then we found that 26% of the calls our departments are to check status. And what we found out of that, the frustration comes from, I'm calling to check status because I got a text. I'm not sure what that really was. And then I got another text. Is my car ready or not? Tell me if it's ready or not. One thing that I've learned in an analysis that we did is that a customer that has to call to find out an appointment is an upset customer. A customer that is notified that there will be a delay on the vehicle and receives the car when you promise to deliver it is a satisfied customer. It's amazing. Manage the expectation. That's all customers ever want you to do. I mean, I know it might be late, but don't let me come there and find out that it's late. Don't let me have to be the one to call you to find out that it's late. We're all living busy lives. So that's a really interesting one. And the other one that I found interesting was 10% of the calls to a service department is to reschedule. Oh, wow. It shocked me. I mean, think about that. 10% of those, I've already had an appointment with schedule. Now I'm going to reschedule. What happens if they don't touch you? Well, that time that you allotted is just lost time. Now they're not doing anything. So, what you guys are saying on the call is so important, but now you got to make it easy for everybody. And I go back to filter out the noise. Send me the alerts of the things that are important. We have one dealer group that says they can't go into, we don't want no calls ever have to go into voicemail, service calls. If they go into service, we don't want them to, they have to be answered and they have to be answered early. So we have alerts that say, just went into a voicemail, and we pick it up and we send it back and we send as an alert. You've got something that went into the mailbox. So you want to be able to qualify those. You want to be able to determine what are the calls that you want to answer in priority order. Is it, hey, I'm calling to check out my check status. So alerting is really, really important. Analyzing the volumes of calls at the rate that they're coming in, knowing when you're there, setting that all up, analyzing why customers call. What is the purpose of these conversations? And course correct accordingly, right? You might find that there might be a recall, and those are the best. All of a sudden you get bombarded. It hits the news. My General Motor vehicle got this recall. My Subaru vehicle got this recall. All of a sudden your department is being overwhelmed because it got out in the news flash, right? So what do you do? If you know those are coming in and we look for trends and start to notify you, there's something happening here, get yourself ready and get that ready on the phones.
Anthony, I want to follow up on a couple of things you said. We've got a couple of your clients here in Shawn Butler and Scott Gregg. The metrics that you are quoting and that your company, CallRevu, is clearly on top of, are you able to take those metrics, those time frames when customers call? Are you able to use that and help the client, like Shawn and Scott, and coach them perhaps on things that they need to be do? Because it all sounds like this is helping them be proactive if it's acted upon.
Absolutely. So there's 3 ways of doing this. First, there's the ton of online. So first of all, yes, the information is available. Individuals can see it, and it's not a big brother tool. And that's why I tell people, the fear of a lot of people says, oh my God, they're putting it in here to monitor me. No, we want to make you better. We want to make you that Olympic gold medalist. We want you made the best of the best. We want you to give you the tools that you get better. So there's online training that's always available. So you've got your scorecard, you got your comparisons, you've got your factors. We got our training partners that we work with that are there to coach you, to support you through the process, using the data to identify where the strengths and the weaknesses are. This works. Do this more often. Look how this person did and how it worked really well. Look what doesn't work and how do we change that? So absolutely, Ted, the tool itself has all of the components to help improve the skills and the abilities of the individuals on the phone and the organization as a whole. I think it was Brooke that was saying, from everything from the receptionist all the way down to the finance person that works in that whole entire ecosystem that goes from sales to service to the attendants and all of them should all be part of your ecosystem. And we want to monitor all of that so that we're feeding you back the elements of what's working and what's not working. What are you measuring and what do you want to manage? Those are all available within CallRevu. And there's an item that was talked about, and I think we were part of that study with Brian Pastor. Brooke talked about where the marketing spend is such an important thing too. If you've got this spend that you're doing, and Shawn mentioned, 400 calls that didn't get answered, and I put out a marketing campaign to drive that traffic, well, your campaign's not performing really well because you probably have 400 people that haven't got connected. So that's a throwaway money. If you increase that, your spend and your return on your investment just goes up incrementally through that exercise. So answer the phones, like Tom Dole would always say, and he said with me many, many times, just answer the phones. You'll improve. It will improve. Customers will be happy.
And Anthony,
Shawn,
with that study, it's not just the having a separate budget for sales and service and fixed ops. It's also making sure it's set up correctly. There's 2 portions to that. I want to make sure that the stats were there, but also understand that I cannot emphasize enough that it has to be set up correctly. And obviously going into GA4, that's a whole other panel in itself, but it has to be set up correctly so that when it comes in that the service number's there, that you have a DNI there, that your call tracking system can understand this is a service customer, and that if they came in on a sales number, but oh crap, I called the wrong number, can they identify, oh, I called for inventory, but actually I have a service question. Are you able to track that this person is now switching to something else and to identify that? Because that is now a service and parts person and a customer, and being able to track that. And then once again, going back, just follow up, because when that customer goes into no man's land or doesn't leave a message, follow up with the customer. Please, for the love, follow up with the customer.
Well said.
Shawn, I'm wondering, these tools, these metrics, you are busy, you got a lot of moving parts. You got 2 different facilities that you're overseeing, and time in between to get from A to B. How important is it to have these metrics and have somebody, take you through it and, point these things out to you?
Well, it's super important. I found it very interesting. I had met up with another friend of mine who runs a BD. That's what they do. They start BDCs, right? Shon Armour is his name. He's super, super intelligent. And I found out I had a call center. That was back in September, right? I was like, I got a call center. I don't even have a BDC. And then after I met Ashley Riccio with CallRevu back in October, as I started trying to dig in and educate myself, because we're always learning. If we're not learning, we're going backwards. And I was like, holy cow, I don't even have a call center. And they were really able to dial in. I was missing these calls. In the morning, it was great. It was after 1 o'clock. So then I dialed it into, okay, at 1 o'clock is when everybody starts going to lunch. And they played this little shell game around our small dealerships where this girl covers for this girl, this girl covers for this girl goes over here. And we end up with a bunch of missed calls from like 1 to 3 o'clock. That's where the bulk of those calls were coming. So I was like, oh, holy cow, now I have something to address. How important is that information to know? Now, I'm not near as advanced as Mr. Gregg, who I have immense respect for. I haven't even gotten to the part where we make outbound calls yet. I'm still learning this whole BDC process and trying to implement. And, my goal is our sales does a great job. Our little stores here in East Tennessee are actually like number 1 and 2 out of 26 locations in much bigger metro areas in used car sales. They focus on sales greatly. We're horrible at the service side of it, but we're going to get better. I can promise you that. The goal is through trial and error and using information. Like I have multiple sessions with Miss Ashley, and I'm going to continue to rely on her and pick her brain and really dial this in. She's an Excel sheet guru. I'm not. So she's good at doing that for me. And I'm just going to keep getting better using the information that's provided to us to just keep dialing it in through trial and error.
Anthony, that's a great point that Shawn has a number of points. But the one I want to hone in on is you've got dealerships with different levels of proficiency and expertise on the phones. Shawn mentioned Scott Gregg. Okay. We've known for a long time that Scott's got a lot of processes down. He's been working on them. He's doing things maybe that others are not. Talk to us about that, Anthony, because you've got different levels out there with dealers.
And that's, a big difference of how we operate ourselves. The software is one thing. And I always tell people there's someone in the garage next door that's building a better software than mine. It's one thing. And we're constantly evolving, and there's an evolution that continues with software, and that's the improvement cycle. That's exciting. But then there's the other piece of it, and that's the support process. So the professional services that we provide, the customer success managers that go in and they look at organizations, to Shawn's point, Ashley, one of the top in the industry, constantly going in and perfecting hey, this is how the tool works, but you're not using it this way. Let me show you how it is. So how do we help improve you is really the name of the game. In Scott's case, in his group, they're power users and complement the way they even implemented the software and the way they're working with it. Our team is more looking in at, okay, are you missing on certain things? Here are nuggets because you're so busy, and how to help you with those. So our philosophy is we want you as a customer for life. And to do that, we got to be there with you throughout that whole entire process. And our account managers or success managers stay with you through that process. So we constantly, Scott and Shawn will tell you, they don't have time to know what the upgrades are on our software. And we're coming out with upgrades on a quarterly basis. We have to slow it down because it was set so fast. So now we have these upgrades and they're not, always on top of it. And rightly so, because they got 30 other softwares that they're looking at. So we come in and we help you with our account managers who are constantly there reminding you to hear these things and these notifications and training you and working with you, holding your hand through that process. That's a big difference.
Anthony, what kind of disadvantage would a dealership be if they don't have a CallRevu working with them, if they don't have an Ashley? And I know you've got a lot of people out in the field to be able to help dealers. Talk to us about that.
Yes, exactly. It's monumental. I just don't want to throw numbers out there for the sake of throwing numbers out there, but we know that on an average, a CallRevu-like platform drives anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000. Depends how you use it on a monthly return on investment. Easy. You can look at all our videos and their testimonials. You'll hear customers that saved hundreds of thousands of dollars because of our solution. But I want to flip it a different way, Ted, and ask the question a little different, because I went back and forth with the dialogue of, what does a CallRevu-like platform drive? And it's monumental on what the benefits are. The ROI is strong. But I said, what would happen if I turned off your phones? Just that. Turn off your phones. What happens? What would happen to Scott, Shawn, what would happen to your dealership if we just turned off the phones?
It would not be good at all. We've had the phones go down, and that's a nightmare.
No, it's terrible. Yeah, for sure.
So if you think of it, if the phones go down, it's crazy. Now, if the phones go back up and the volumes go through, it's impossible to keep up. There's so much information going on. There's so much going on in the calls. Being able to bifurcate what is important versus what's not important is what a CallRevu platform tries to do. Where do you want to focus? Where do you need not to focus? How do you bring out the noise that you have in there? I tell people, I tell my guys every day when we start our meetings, what are we not going to do today? Let's start with that, because I know our plates are full. So what are we not going to do? Tell me what that is. Put that to the side. And it's the same with the phones. What call are you not going to respond? What information are you not going to worry about? What do you don't want to do? Help. And that's where I say it's got to be accretive. How do I make it easy to tee it up to the sales guy, to the BDC agent to make the right call?
Kara, you've got a managing partner at the dealership, Eric, and I know well his Friday meetings and a lot of the metrics that he shares. How valuable would these metrics be on the phones, and not just in one department, but over many departments at several dealerships?
Yeah, well, if you guys know anything about our stores, is we are all about the marketing. So we are funneling hundreds of thousands of leads for sales and service every single month. And when we see a drop in our staff, we have people let go or move on, whatever it may be. And we never slow down our marketing. So if we do not have enough people to answer the phones or have the time to call these customers back, we're just creating a customer for a dealership down the road. And that's going to be detrimental to us. And that's what we're trying to overcome right now and trying to stay ahead of. But I mean, everybody knows the industry right now, and we can't afford to lose a single customer. So I think over time, I have no doubt that we will have something, hopefully CallRevu here at our dealerships to help us out, because I don't see the industry or the staff changing anytime soon.
And Anthony, I'll give you the last word. Here we are coming into the end of November soon. We got the holidays. 2023 is just, 6-7 weeks away. They say 2023 is going to be a tougher year, Anthony, for automotive dealers. A lot more challenges out there. What do you want to leave us with in terms of the phones and what CallRevu can do to help our audience?
A couple of things I want to address is one, I think, we got an aging population, you got talent pool shrinking, you've got outright shortage of just the skills that we need in the industry itself. So, and by the way, this is a global thing. It's not just a, industry or North America issue, but it's global. But I say all that because now it becomes even more and more important to be able to provide your people the ability to work where they want to work. That's a big challenge right now. Some people say, I just don't, do I need to come in every day? Maybe, maybe not. So giving them that flexibility so that they can work anywhere that they want to. Certain roles can do that or not. So the phones have to become a part of your extension. They have to be the ability to go around. Security is a big thing. So by the way, all these new protocols around how do you address telephone communication security, the PI security, and CallRevu spent hundreds of thousands of dollars all around the security and what we've done. And so that becomes important to being able to address. And then finally, allowing your employees to do what's right for the organization. And that's sniffing through the noise. That phone rings a lot. I mean, I've sat in some of Scott's dealerships and, seen what it sounds like. I've been to Demansky's, dealer groups, different ones, and seen what it's like. I mean, the phones are always ringing. I don't know. I mean, I can see why some agents just pick up the phone and say, yep, what do you want? They don't even give their names. It's a frustrating process if you're constantly doing that. I mean, I always tell people it's one of the toughest things to be in an area where your phone's always ringing. So make sure, you've got it properly staffed, you've got it properly supported, but you're sniffing through what's the most important. And Brooke said it best, answer the phones and give them the courtesy of going back and calling them back if you haven't answered. Don't make them wait. I mean, the worst thing you can do is make a customer wait a couple of days. Like Kara said, they will go somewhere else. They know they have a choice. The pandemic taught us we have choices. People will drive their cars to you. They will drive service people to come and pick up your cars. So the competition's gotten fierce. So treat your customers well at the beginning, in the beginning, and the phone. It starts with the phones.
What a great conversation, everybody. We'll have to leave it there. I want to thank the panel, Kara, Scott, Shawn, and Brooke. Anthony, CallRevu has got not just the technology, you've got the protocols. We're coming into a new era with cybersecurity and making sure with the safeguards that are coming up now here in December. So if our audience, Anthony, wants to reach out to you, I see the CallRevu website at the bottom, and I see an abbreviated email address. Is that you, Anthony?
That's me. You can email me directly, ag@callrevu.com.
Wow. So
can
everybody, the top at CallRevu here today. So
thank you.
Love it. All right, everybody, the CallRevu expert panel here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving, everyone.